Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Chud Watch. I hope you're all doing well today. The intro screen was a little, longer than usual. Sorry, I was getting some tea. Hope you're doing well on this Monday. Sky Comet Fallen with 40 bits says, my 91-year-old grandfather believes the election was stolen. Not like this. Not like this. I'm sorry to hear that. 0M80 says, so John is following in Ben Shapiro's footsteps by being homophobic while putting out twink energy. Mike Mack says, can't wait for Call to go over Black Widow's opening scenes and the new information on men are having lower sperm count. He'll lose his mind and I bet he'll blame the vaccine for the infertility. Also, what are your thoughts on Cuba? Wow, that's a lot of statements all in one. I haven't seen Black Widow yet. I don't know about the sperm count thing. I don't know much about what's going on in Cuba. I'm an endless chasm of no information. Ricky Dicklander, thank you for following. Ashy Boo says, Hannah, I got engaged. Congratulations. Princess Amelia says, no milk in that tea, heretic. You don't know what's in my tea. But no, there's not milk. Koyatree asks, Cuba? Probably about the protests in Cuba. Altered Rin says, hi, Hannah and Chatters. It's a low-effort video by John. It's very cringe. That's what I've heard. I haven't watched it yet. I'm pretty interested to see what it says. I'm trying to see if this is a Space Jam mug someone sent me, and I'm trying to determine if this is a vintage Space Jam mug from when it came out or if it's like a newer one, because it kind of looks like it could have been made in the 90s. It's got a sort of weird printing thing to it. Huh. We're on a hype train. We're at 53% to level 1. Nick says, bits just to say, ate a delicious strawberry. Also, the Kraken lawyers are royally fucked after today. Good. They deserve it for putting their names on that shit. The Quartering got called out on Twitter with receipts, didn't he? He did. I have that pulled up. We're gonna watch a video by him and then look at, you know, the fact that he's a liar. Dapper Hologram, thank you for subscribing for 4 months. John Lee 3000, thanks for subscribing for 2 months. says, did you see the Kraken hearing? I got to listen in, and what a roller coaster. I didn't. Is that available somewhere? We could watch it. Chapomon says, I hope you and everyone in chat is having a good week so far. I'm getting ready to visit my mom after having to cancel last year's plans due to pandemic. Well, I hope you have a good time getting back in touch with each other. Pulp Free Fiction says, hype. Also, what do you think John Doyle's favorite book is? Mein Kampf or the Turner Diaries? Definitely Turner Diaries, because it's more fantasy for him. Morak says, saw Black Widow last night. It was okay. It was no Thor 3, but it wasn't Thor 2 either. That's good. I think Thor 2 is the only Marvel movie I just don't ever watch. I own it, though, because I'm a dirty consumer. I own every Marvel movie. I can't find anything on the Kraken lawsuit thing you guys are talking about. So let's see what else. We got a video from Bass FCZ called Even a Lesbian Can Learn to Like Men. Well, part of them. So that's gonna be bad. The Quartering trying to backtrack on his claims about Black Widow, just like he did with Captain Marvel. Ben Shapiro talking about Toyota halting donations to 2020 election objectors. Tim Pool talking about Donald Trump's bullshit lol suits against Twitter, Facebook, etc. Sticks talking about Nick Fuentes' ban on Twitter. Elliot Hulse talking about how he thinks women belong at home. There's the John Doyle video, maybe some That Vegan Teacher, maybe some Bryson Gray. He went on this guy's show and talked about abortion. Akiva Cohen and Mike Dunford were live tweeting about it on Twitter. Could someone get me a link to those live tweets and I'll read them? I'm trying to work on my voice today, but like I'm like congesty. I don't know. Hydrate, thank you, Baha. John Lee 3000 says, RE Kraken hearing. I had to request an invitation from the courts to watch the live stream. They'll make the transcript public soon, but there probably won't be a video. Okay. Baha says, Hannah, your hair looks incredible today. Thank you. It came out very curly. Tucker White says, and thus we commence with another week of bullshit in this existential nightmare we call life. My hope for humanity is at absolute zero. Let's see if this stream drags it into the negatives. You could go watch something else, I'm sorry. 41% of the level 2 hype train. Once this hype train's done, we'll get started, I suppose. God, I just can't get... I got, like, some phlegm or something that I just can't... Dark White says, Hannah, I'm here for the same reasons everyone else is. We've been... Nope, I'm not reading that. It's ain't OnlyFans. Morok says, In my Living World Pathfinder server, the GMs have started a Demon War plotline. My Doomslayer knockoff character is very happy. Great. F.H. Notched Mar, thank you for subscribing for 5 months. Rare, oh gosh. I feel like you just told me how to pronounce your name and I already forgot. Raw Ranks. For the hype, and also just to say, I only have 3 shifts left before my vacation from work. Excited to go camping next week and recharge from all the night shifts I've done. Well, I hope you have a nice recharge. You don't want to, burn yourself out. Ilium Gal with 1,000 bits says, can't stay long for Chud watches. I cringe out pretty quick, so have some bits just for being awesome. Thank you. Like, nothing wants to work today. Jesus. It's like there's something right up here that I can't, like, get. I'm sure this is entertaining watching me try and deal with some sort of weird phlegm situation. Sorry. Okay, how about we start with Bass FCZ? This is gonna be bad. This video is entitled, Even a Lesbian Can Learn to Like Men. Well, part of them. Yikes.
Sorry to be talking about girl dick on main again.
Did I hear that correctly?
Oh no! Oh, it's gonna be transphobic. It's gonna be transphobic. Here we go.
I had some things that I want to say. I just saw a TikTok made by a trans girl, and she was talking about genital preference and how genital preference is often rooted in, like, kind of unconscious transphobic beliefs. And how if you unpack those beliefs, your genital preference can change.
Everything else is taken, yo. Thanks for subscribing for 14 months.
Oh. Whoa. Oh.
I agree that's a bad take.
Oh.
And her video really inspired me because I feel like as an AFAB lesbian, I'm not cis because I'm non-binary, but I am AFAB if that means anything.
AFAB. 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 What the devil does that mean?
Google it.
A-F-A-B. AFAB.
Nick says, stop making me try to shout what the fuck because I'm still at work. It's not my fault.
Peak
Chud comedy here. I think you missed some air quotes around comedy.
Maybe I'm thinking of... Maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way. We're talking about trans people. Wait a minute. Assigned female at birth.
I feel like I kind of have a responsibility to talk about this myself so that it's not just trans women talking about it, you know?
Oh, now you have a responsibility. It's just interesting to me how you feel responsible to speak up for trans people, but not to continue your family lineage through heterosexual activity.
Look at his face when he says that! Like he thinks he just made a good point. Oh no! Yeah, it's almost like one can feel responsibility to help other people. as opposed to wanting to just procreate, which you deem to be a necessity, but other people don't. Look at that face. He's like, I fucking nailed it, guys. Morak says, he does know in vitro exists, right? I don't know. And Nick says, I prefer the dussy.
And
Rublum says this guy's takes are so bad. If he were an actor, he'd never find work.
I used to have
That
a
one
general
took me a sec.
preference. I used to have, like, penis repulsion, and I don't now.
Okay, since we're talking about this, I guess I should just, like, try and explain my position on this, because this is a topic that gets talked about. If you have a genital preference, you have a genital preference. I don't care. That's fine. No one can force you to be attracted to any specific genitals. It's only transphobic if, like, the reason you don't want to date someone is specifically that they are trans. And not just because, like, oh, I don't like the fact that they have this specific set of genitals, but the fact that they are trans is the thing that's doing it. But no, if you're just like, I don't like penis, or I don't like vagina, or whatever, that's fine. I don't care.
Okay.
And let's talk about that. Up through the age of 20, I didn't really know any trans people.
He's so mad that a woman might be fine fucking a woman with a penis, but not fuck him. I know. He's gonna be like, but why? And it's gonna be like, well, because the person attached to the dick is not a person that she finds attractive, which is a pretty simple explanation.
And I also had, like, no interest in dating anyone who had different genitals from me. It weirded me out. But then when I was around 21, I met a lot more trans people. I moved into this big queer commune, and I was living with, like, all trans people, and I was learning a lot of shit. And so being around all these trans people made me really start to think about what pre-existing beliefs were in my head and how genitals and gender were very linked in my mind.
This is kind of the one joke. It's basically just, I don't understand the difference between sex and gender. Okay, I really do have to gargle. I'm trying to do my voice and I can't do it because of this whatever's going on in my throat. I'll be back in like a minute and a half, okay? Listen to this in the meantime. I apologize. I should have dealt with this before I started the stream. Okay, I think that feels a little better, so that's good. What else did I miss while I was gone? Stromboli for Wi-Fi says non sequitur. I recently found out a big reason for the Arab Spring was due to a wheat shortage in Russia because of drought. You say often that progressive ideas always win out over time, but do you think climate change might throw a wrench in that? Desperation increases religiosity and conservatism, right? I'm an ANCOM, by the way. I think the stresses induced by climate change have the potential to spur on further authoritarian right-wing movements, as desperation tends to be taken advantage of by fasci types. And it's going to be very easy when we have our sort of climate refugee crisis. It's going to be very easy for someone to seize up on that and say, it's the immigrants' fault, it's the refugees' fault, etc., etc. So yeah, that's going to be bad. Angel Lost in Space, thanks for subscribing for 6 months, says 2/3 of the way to our stream, baby. And Rublum says, I see humidity is kicking Michigan's ass too. My sympathy. Thank you. Alright, back to this guy. Oh, this joke is still going, huh? I missed some bits, apparently. He needs to use the brain inside his head instead of the one inside his pants.
And I wanted to unlink those concepts because I wanted to be able to, like, better respect and, like, see all of the trans people around me.
Hold on now. For a moment. Perhaps I must have missed something. But I was under the impression that gender was the socialization that an individual receives based on their sex. So gender is learned behaviors that society imparts on an individual human based on their sex. If that be the case, then wouldn't that by definition mean that your genitalia presupposes your gender?
We often associate those two things, but the entire point is to say that often people's gender identity does not match up with their sex. So, like, trans women, trans men, non-binary folks. It's a pretty simple concept. Matthias CM, thanks for subscribing for 6 months. Tucker White says, so wait, what was the joke? The joke is that he's dumb. Valum Guardian says, I'd say Bass should get a D&D group if he wants to do the shitty accent, but then I realized that he definitely has no friends. And Prime038 says, OMG, subtitles for the old internet phone line say music and applause has me on the floor.
If I just, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just don't understand the concept. Maybe I'm just...
Unironically, yes.
Maybe I'm just stupid. I don't know.
Also, yes.
So that took some time and work to, like, really reinforce in my brain that genitals do not equal gender, and anyone of any gender can have any genitals and they are valid. And once I started doing that, and I was able to think about, like, dick in isolation, not connected to men, just as, like, an isolated concept.
Oh, you mean so like a dildo?
I knew he was gonna make that joke too. And you know, the funny thing is he's kind of not even technically wrong, because like lesbians have used dildos for a long time. That's not a new thing. They just don't like you. They're not attracted to you. It's not a hard concept to understand.
Just as, like, an isolated concept. I started to feel like... That would feel kind of good, though, huh?
Then So then a bloody dildo, is that what you would just be referring to a bloody dildo then?
I wish he wouldn't do the voice thing.
Like, I know I don't fucking like men, but, like, just the dick? Like, interesting. And so my point of view really did, like, completely change just from, like, unworking these biases that were in my mind. So that is totally a real thing that is possible, and I would really encourage any AFAB lesbians watching this who think they have a genital preference to really think about where that preference is coming from and what beliefs they might have, and try to, like, work through that and, you know, disconnect genitals from gender in your mind.
So let's recap here. So a lesbian who was born as a female unpacked her bias against females with penises and has made it so that now she actually likes penises on females, or just the penis in isolation of it.
Probably not all penises, but I would imagine they would be less disinclined from dating or hooking up with someone who happens to be trans, a trans woman specifically.
Itself.
Which is fine. It's also fine if someone's uncomfortable with genitals or whatever. Stromboli for Wi-Fi says, or as ContraPoints would say, it's all about the mouthfeel. Princess Amelia says, if you think the fake British accent is painful, imagine how British people feel about it. Pain. Just pain.
Just, if I understand correctly, it would kind of sounds like to me that this young lady somehow...
Oh no, is he gonna say she's not a lesbian?
...reconditioned her mind to accept that females can have penises and it should be okay for her to be attracted to them.
Okay, and if she did that, that's great. I don't see the issue.
Or to date them regardless, because a penis can exist independent of the male.
And on Earhart, thank you for subscribing for 6 months, says, oh no, the cringe.
Concept. Okay. Say we accept this one as true.
Okay.
That's what she did. That's just what she did. I'm just wondering, why can't we get women to start dating short guys then?
Okay, I'm gonna be honest, that's not where I expected him to take this. Okay then, oh god, look at his face too. Again, he thinks he's made like a really good point. Bass, there are short guys who are in relationships. There are short guys who are dating people. There are short guys who... What are you talking about? Excuse you, or excuse me.
I'm just wondering.
Yeah, Baja says, Bass, it isn't 'cause you're short, it's 'cause your personality is trash. I don't even know how tall he is. And I don't care, 'cause that's not what matters. So Surly, thanks for subscribing for 14 months, and Sweet Bunny Mommy, thanks for subscribing for 2 months.
I'm just asking. Why can't we... I mean, if this woman will go through such lengths to unpack her genital preference, how come we can't get women to accept that social status shouldn't matter in terms of a relationship? Understand. You sound like a bloody incel, but I'm just wondering. Like,
He said it, not me.
if a woman can. if a lesbian can recondition her mind to make it so that she accepts dating trans women with schlongs, maybe we can make it so that women will date men that they don't find incredibly attractive.
No. No. Okay, so in that woman's case, she internally investigated her own feelings on genital preference and decided that it was based on stuff she didn't necessarily agree with. I'm not saying everyone has to do that, but it worked for her, and that's fine. You are telling every woman implicitly to reevaluate themselves because they aren't attracted to you or people that you deem disrespected by them in some way. That's not okay. Everyone has individual preferences, and there's nothing wrong with those preferences. Pulp Free Fiction, thanks for 5 months, says, take my Bezos bucks. Thank you.
Maybe we can get women to start dating guys that make less money than them annually.
That happens. That happens all the time.
I'm just, I'm just saying,
Oh, sorry, I missed Nick's bits. It's 100% a bad take. You should question things you consider axiomatic in your life from time to time. But if you don't like roosters or kitties, then you shouldn't force yourself to like them. Agreed. I missed your bits too? Jesus Christ. His head is starting to smoke. Those gears are about to lock up. Chud.exe has crashed. And Marcus Drake, thanks for 10 months, says, dear God, what have I walked into? Bass is having a mental breakdown.
I can't take these people anymore. Oh my goodness.
That's the whole video? That's it? Oh, he thinks he fucking nailed that. That's a shame. So that's, that's what Bass is up to.
Alright, so I'm here at a truck stop and trying to figure out if there's anything that I could eat here. So standard stuff at a truck stop. Well, this is made from a lot of suffering. This comes from the dairy industry, so we can't eat that. Don't buy cheese. Here's suffering from the dairy industry and also
conveniently packaged together. Thanks, dairy industry. Rublum says, please take my bits and give them to Bass so he can get a clue. And Stormfox says, are we going to get some Peter today? I actually didn't check and see. I doubt it. He's dealing with, He's dealing with potentially being investigated by CPS, so I don't know if we're going to hear from Peter for a bit.
from a pig who died. This is not food, this is violence. Don't buy pepperoni. What is this? This is also violence. Pickled sausage. That means this is a dead body here. Never buy this. What the heck is this?
Some kind of cheese.
Firm, unripened cheese. So this is also from violence. In the dairy industry, they killed.
Colston says, wait, what? Peter could get his kids taken away? How do you know? He emailed me.
Baby boy cows. They murder them at birth. So
Sky Comet Fallen says, it's vegan teacher. Excuse me while my part-time vegetarian ass goes to get some cheese.
that humans can steal the milk and turn it into this. So never buy this either. Here we have eggs. The egg industry is a terrible industry. See, they make it look like a happy egg here. like everything's great, but in reality, these were stolen from chickens.
Wait a minute, are you telling me those eggs don't actually have cartoon hats and eyes and they're happy about me eating them? I just keep getting lied to. Jeff Millard says, Jesus fucking Christ, Peter. I missed your bits too? Why haven't I not been missing so many bits lately? I'm really sorry. If I miss bits, at me. I'm not doing it purposefully. FCZ to vegan teacher? Is this the malignant narcissist hour? Exo Deadlock says, I prefer eating dead bodies. It's harder to eat the ones running away.
It's wrong to steal. It's wrong to steal eggs. It's wrong of us. If you don't believe in stealing, you shouldn't be eating any of these items here, because these are body parts. These are lives who've suffered. Now, in the egg industry, you can go to egg-truth.com to find out the truth. Other things we have, more eggs. Never eat eggs. It's important to be vegan from now on. This is a dead body. This is a 6-month-old baby pig.
See, this is... I feel like she doesn't even understand how to convince people to, like, do vegan. So, recently, Baha and I went to the store, and we were getting some groceries. It wasn't like a main grocery shopping trip. It wasn't like, you know, the groceries for the next couple weeks. It was just like, okay, we're missing a couple things. Let's go to the grocery store. And I wanted to get some, eggs. But I don't eat eggs super often, so if I buy a dozen or even half a dozen eggs, I'll maybe eat 2 or 3, and then they'll usually go bad. So what I decided to get this time was an egg substitute called Just Egg. It's pretty good. So, like, even though I'm not a vegan, I took a vegan option because it's more convenient for me and isn't going to go as bad as quickly. So, I feel like if you're trying to convince complete non-vegans, just going this route and being like, shame on you, these are dead bodies. Lead with the positive things like that. Like, oh, you like eggs? Well, this keeps a lot longer and it tastes just as good. Like, don't lead with, you're evil. People don't like that. Nick says, but we're not stealing. We're paying for them. You're the one touching all over them without paying, lady. And Ilium Gal says, doing the equivalent of watching this through my fingers to provide emotional distance from the childs by skipping to a Doctor Who podcast every few seconds, so I've just had the chalk and cheese juxtaposition of a deep dive on William Hartnell's pre-Who career and an MRA trying to understand girl dick.
They're put 200 at a time on a truck. They suffer terribly from the moment that they are born till the moment that they die. Never buy these things. Never buy this. Hot dogs are whatever body parts are left over. All kinds of terrible things go into them, like the eyeballs and the tongues, all kinds of leftover parts that are ground up. They add a bunch of fat, they add a bunch of salt and spices to make it taste good, but it's actually eating death. This also is a dead body. These are all things that you have been taught are food, but they're actually violence. It's not food at all. It's
literally is food, though. You can absolutely try and convince people not to eat it while also recognizing it's food. It is food. It's just food you don't want people to eat. Xeon Forever, thanks for following.
Violence. What is this? Red grapefruit. Finally, red grapefruit. Now here is something that's actual food. No sugar added. This is wonderful. When you're at a truck stop, which is like something like this, at a typical truck stop, this is the type of thing that you should get. Fresh fruit. What about this here? Here's something. Hottie Bites. Hot and spicy pickle snacks. Well, that looks like it could be vegan. Super crunchy. Let's read the ingredients.
Steve with a Q says, nitrates, vegan teacher. It's the nitrates added to hot dogs that make them delicious.
Cucumbers, water, vinegar, and salt. Yep, this is vegan. Looks like it's vegan. Gotta double check again to make sure, but what about here? Is this vegan?
Something about the lunch meat in it tells me probably not.
No. This is also comes from a 6-month-old baby pig who died after a...
You know how old the baby pig was? That's impressive. That's an interesting psychic power. It's like the dead zone, but only with meats. The meat zone. Stromboli for Wi-Fi says, most fruit is harvested by migrant slave labor, but it's not like she'd care about that.
Lifetime of
It's almost like there's no ethical consumption under something. I think someone said that once.
suffering. Then they are put on trucks, isolated, so crammed together, isolated from the rest of society, all crammed onto a truck, so tight that they can't even turn around, boiling hot in the summer, freezing cold in the winter. They put them on the trucks without feeding them so that they won't pee and poo anywhere on the truck. But they still manage to vomit because they are sick from the ride and sick from being just so crammed together, often for 2 days at a time on the trucks while they travel.
Profane Priestess says you can't say chickens' eggs are stolen. They don't have enough intellect or socialization to understand the social construct of ownership. She would disagree with you. I don't necessarily disagree with you, but she would disagree with you. Marcus Drake says, never mind fruits and veg kills small animals who run away from the evil death tractor, huh?
Awful. Absolute. This is animal abuse. If you buy these things, you are an animal abuser.
And probably just have poor decision-making skills. Buying the egg salad sandwich at the gas station, that's a risk I'm not willing to take.
Any of these things here, you are an animal abuser if you buy these things. You must be vegan from now on. This is fine. What else have we got here? Pasta salad. Pasta, that part's fine, but then it says Parmesan cheese. I don't know if you can read that. Don't buy this.
Right? Get Asiago. It's always better.
You should buy the vegan version if they ever make one. That would be great. And the reason that they don't make them is because we don't have enough demand. It's supply and demand. So if you stop buying these things and you...
Is she anti-honey pollinated foods? She's definitely anti-honey.
keep asking for the vegan versions, they will make them. Here's some more death. This is also comes from the dairy industry. This is terrible. Same as this. This is made from cream that comes from the dairy industry. It's not vegan. This is not vegan. Here we have some juice, peach and cherry juice. This is vegan. You might double check by reading the ingredients, but typically these juices are vegan. So is V8. Gotta be careful though. Sometimes there's a lot of extra salt, but still it is vegan. Let's look around at some other things here. So this type of stuff is usually vegan, these kinds of drinks. Not necessarily healthy for you at all though. What else have we got? Here are more things that are unhealthy. Stay away from these if you can. Let's see what we have here. Cookies and cream. We have all kinds of milkshakey type things, but typically these are not vegan. You're looking for something that says dairy free. That's what you're looking for. See, this is not vegan. Milk and cookies, not vegan. We need a vegan world. That's what we need. These are not vegan either. Pretty much these are all not vegan. Now you see Haagen-Dazs does make a vegan version of their bars, but they don't seem to be here right now. And again, the more that you go into these places and you ask and you say, could I please have the vegan version of the Haagen-Dazs? Then they will start to order them. In fact, this company should stop making these altogether and only make the dairy-free version. They are just as delicious and everyone can eat them and no...
I don't know about that. Dairy-free ice cream can actually be pretty good. I've had it. Because really, ice cream... I don't know if I'm lactose intolerant, but like ice cream, it'll do things to me. So like having dairy-free ice cream can be great, but it doesn't taste as good, in my opinion. Red Werewolf says, joke's on her, I just put a pizza in the oven.
Baby cows will have to die. Same for these drumsticks. They do have vegan versions of them. Why are these stores not selling only that? Then everyone...
Because they don't sell as well as the normal ones.
...can eat them. Oh, it's so sad. What do we have here?
Did I seriously miss more bits? Why am I not seeing these? Why are they not showing up for me? Towing24 says, all this moralizing from vegan teacher who doesn't give a single fuck about migrants and factory farming when it doesn't involve animals. Speedy Yoshi says, I just remembered what she reminds me of, the vegetarian hippie counselor on The Amazing World of Gumball. In one episode, he's adamant he makes no footprint when Gumball and Darwin point out that's impossible, and she's still supporting evil companies. He goes insane and runs into the woods. E-Tune says, we need a vegan world, then go to Venus. Stormfox says, I saw the Quartering did a video on manga doing better than comics, and without watching it, I'm already pissed about it because he's going to completely miss the point and insult the hard work of talented authors. Like, it takes more than a sexy girl to be popular manga, and the main reason people read manga over comics is because you don't need to look up the history of the character and know what's going on in the universe you just read chapter 1. Sorry for the super long message. Morok says, I've tried veganism and vegetarianism. I had issues with anemia and had to start taking iron supplements that made my stomach hurt. I would have loved to try to get back into being vegan, but she turns me off of it so much I refuse at this point. Bellum Guardian says, the way vegan teacher thinks everyone should be required to be vegan has big eco-fash energy. I cannot get into my correct voice. I don't know what's going on. Mike Max says, I wonder how she'll react to animal eating plants. She's probably fine with that.
The clothes tend to be vegan. I don't have the time to look. It says no artificial colors or flavors. Ice pop. I don't know if this has, let's see, water, sugar, glucose. I think this is may contain peanuts and tree nuts. Yeah, this is probably vegan. It's just sort of your standard popsicle, like the old-fashioned kind. And they're usually vegan. They just have water.
Tucker says, well, at least in the vegan totalitarian world, I can still drink Coca-Cola. Those child laborers worked very hard to gather that sugar cane. Lily Lovestuff says, my biggest issue with vegan ice cream is the texture isn't as good. I do love sorbet, though.
And sugar and flavor. So these are all just typical drinks here. Of course, when you look here, do you think that any of these dog foods are vegan? No. You have to order the vegan versions. You have to ask for them in the stores. These all contain dead animal products. There's no reason to murder one animal and then feed it to another.
That's literally how most of nature works. Stromboli for Wi-Fi says, worked at Kilwin's Ice Cream for a year in college. I'm not vegan, but I don't eat ice cream anymore. All that free ice cream gave me the jiggles. The jiggles.
How does this make any logical sense? We have some bars here. These I thought were vegan at one point. Look like they might be, but actually they're not. Typically they're not. I don't know if some of them are. Lara bars are vegan though. These are vegan. I'm just gonna double check. See what the ingredients are here. It says dates, peanut butter, roasted peanuts. That's great. This is vegan. This is something you can get. It's called a Lara bar. Let's look at the next one here. Cashew. This says cashew nut bar, fruit and nut energy bar. Let's look at the ingredients. Looking down here, cashews, dates, and dried apples. That's amazing. See, those are just whole foods. Nothing added, nothing taken away. These are very nutritious. Dates are a wonderful sweetener made by nature. You can buy this Lara bar too. What about this one here? Lara bar, apple. Let's try this. Read the ingredients again just to make sure. Dates, almonds, dried apples, walnuts, yeah, raisins. It's great.
Speedy Yoshi says, so aside from her normal I'm better than you, what is this video supposed to do? Like, does she expect vegans to watch this and be like, oh, I thought this thing that said it has dairy was vegan? That vegan teacher, you're so smart. Felix Night Owl says, have you seen Ben Shabibo's take on the San Francisco Gay Men's Choir new song? I haven't. Salium X90 says, the way I see it, as far as treatment of animals, yes, yes, that needs improvement, and it's fine if that's your reason, but as far as the actual act of eating animals and their byproducts, the very idea that we are above all carnivores or other omnivores out there that do this is absurd to me. Tucker White says, what do you think the slave wage cashier is thinking watching this woman yap about vegan shit? She's thinking about how much longer she has left in her shift. Marcus Drake says, peanut butter is legally allowed to have a certain amount of insects, so no peanut butter is not vegan.
There's no egg in here. There's no milk in here. There's no dairy products at all. There's no meat, so this is something you could buy. A Lara bar. So remember these when you go to the store. If you're really hungry, if you haven't prepared your own snacks ahead of time, then, and you stop at a truck stop, that's something that you could buy. Look over here, we have, this is something called bark fins. Now this
Have I seen Monsters at Work on Disney Plus? Way more hype than... Yeah, I saw an episode. It was cute.
has some ingredients in it that are like fair trade, but be careful, because if it doesn't say vegan on there, it's not going to be vegan. Let's read, okay? It says may contain peanuts, other tree nuts, and wheat. It says dark chocolate, unsweetened sugar, cocoa butter, milk ingredients. That's not okay. Anything that says milk ingredients comes from the stuff. There are any...
Is she seriously just gonna walk through this store for another 10 minutes and just point at things and say, this is vegan, this isn't vegan, vegan good, not vegan bad? What a fucking waste of time. Morak says, one thing that gets me about her is she doesn't seem to talk about the logistics of eating vegan. When I was vegan, I had to keep track of my proteins and carb intake, just because eating till I was full didn't get me everything I needed. Until I got used to things and found what worked for me, I got sick from malnutrition. Tucker White says, so what do vegans think of all the pesticides and fertilizers that are largely needed to successfully grow fruit and vegetables? I don't know. I'm gonna go get more tea. Tea with Goblin says, morning Hannah, morning chat, making myself some poached eggs for breakfast in honor of that vegan teacher. Okay. I want to put something on while I go make more tea, because I'm really trying to do my voice today and I just can't get it right, and my throat hurts, so I'm going to try and get more tea and see if that helps. I just need to find something that's like 5 minutes long. Costco is pretty good vegan protein shake mix. Okay.
Well, hey there, folks, and welcome
Okay,
back.
you're back.
I guess I've never met a person who could refuse a good cheese stick, and there they are. Well, they don't give you marinara sauce. A little marinara sauce goes a long way with cheese sticks. I met a girl named Cheese Sticks. We're gonna grind these frozen because it's gonna grind better. Enough of the time wasting and more of the cheese stick sausaging. It's the cheese stick. Why are you doing this? So it's the fried mozzarella sticks sausage. Oh, why you wanna give me the sausage around? All right, so we got good news and we got bad news here. The good news is we got the mozzarella sticks in the stuffer. The bad news is I don't think that this is gonna sausage. The sausage press is already like at almost full capacity. So in 3, 2, 1, let's sausage. It's moving at a very slow rate. We take a lighter to this thing and should theoretically speed it up. You know, I think that worked. I think that's it. I think that's all she wrote. That got pressed good. We already know this is not going to blow the way that it currently is. One of these. Use the old trusty pumpkin carver to push some of this out.
Does she see Shabibo's ridiculous stupidity?
This Will It Blow is sponsored by Fetch Rewards. Do you like receipts? Well, maybe not. But do you like earning free rewards?
One Speedy Yoshi says if you call mozzarella sticks cheese sticks, you deserve to be oppressed.
On anything you buy? Of course you do. And so
Getting
do
tea
I.
with
That's why
goblins.
I use
Ha, ha,
Fetch
ha, ha.
Rewards, the super easy to use free app that lets me earn points on literally anything I buy. I then redeem those points, instantly scan, click the link in the description. Where did it? There it is. So yeah, that's gonna be a 1 mark Ruffalo. Here we go. Oh, we got a burst. Well, all right, there she is. Let's see what the middle part of it looks like. That was clean. That was a clean cut right there. Well, you would never know that this was fried cheese sticks. All right, enough yapping and more lip smacking from eating sausages. This guy doesn't want to sit properly in this bun. It looks like a sad man. So here we go. So right away I can tell you it doesn't need the addition of the bun here. Here's a solo bite. Not bad. I'll tell you what, that is not bad at all. You know what this tastes like? This tastes like this tastes like the stuffed crust pizza from Pizza Hut. Just the stuffed crust part. Oh my God, is that what they've been stuffing the crust with? I'm taking another bite. Let's get some sauce into the mix. I don't have any marinara, so this spaghetti sauce is gonna have to do. You see this? You see how it's spelled M-I-D-S? Well, Mrs. Sausage pronounces this Mighties. Let's give this a mighty taste test here. Without the sauce, this would just be a 3 out of 5. With the sauce, though, it's a 5 out of 5 with the sauce. You know, I didn't have any hope for this sausage when we first started, but I'm a believer. What do you think? Should we split the difference and call it a 4? So I give the fried mozzarella stick sausage a 4 out of 5.
Ball.
As we celebrate Pride on the progress we've made over these past years, there's still work to be done. So to those of you out there who are still working against equal rights, we have a message for you.
You
I
think
did
we're
not see Black Widow yet, no.
You fight against our rights. You say we all lead lives you can't respect. But you're just frightened. You think that we'll corrupt your kids if our agenda goes unchecked. Funny, just this once, you're correct. We'll convert your children. Happens bit by bit, quietly and subtly, and you will barely notice it.
Oh, this was a terrible optics idea. I get the joke they're making, but holy shit, are you fucking kidding me, guys?
You can keep him from disco, warn about San Francisco, make him wear pleated pants, we don't care. We'll convert your children. We'll make them tolerant and fair.
At first I didn't get why you'd be so scared of us turning your children into accepting, caring people, but I see now why you'd have a problem with that.
Just like you worried, they'll change their group of friends. You won't approve of where they go at night to protest. Oh, and you'll be disgusted so gross when they start finding things online that you've kept far from their sight. Like information. Guess what? You'll still be alright. We'll convert your children, yes we will. Reaching one and all, there's really no escaping it. Cause even grandma likes RuPaul. And the world's getting kinder. Gen Z's gayer than Grindr. Learn to love, learn to vogue, face your fate. We'll convert your children. Someone's gotta teach them not to hate. We're coming for them. We're coming for your children. We're coming for them. We're coming for them. We're coming for your children. We're coming for them. Your children will care about fairness and justice. children.
And Colston says only straight men can abuse children. The right. Felix Night Owl says Ben's take on this overfloweth with fear-mongering. I have to admit, though, the optics of this doesn't help. The world just isn't ready for this satire yet. Zamsada says this has a bit of that angry atheist energy. I agree.
Then we'll turn to you. Giving up the fear inside is freeing like you never knew. Go and see San Francisco. Go and turn up that disco. You'll forget you were ever upset. We'll convert your children and make an ally of you yet. We'll make an ally of you yet. We'll make an ally of you yet.
Oh, this is very hot. Okay, let's get this out of the way. Let's do John Doyle's new video. I guess it's like a man on the street segment, which, as some of you probably know from my previous stuff, I hate man on the street segments. I hate when Liberty Hangout does it. I hate when basically anyone does it to try and bolster an argument or try and make your side look more reasonable, because it's such a stupid trick and anyone knows how this works. You go out and you ask 1,000 people a question and you pick... Okay, I'm exaggerating. You probably go out and you ask a couple hundred people a question, have quick interviews with them, and then you pick the 2 to 5 to maybe 10 people who make your side look the best, and you just show their footage. It's stupid. Everyone who does this is stupid.
What would you say if I called you homophobic? Your thoughts?
That's just not my cup of tea.
I could save her. Just kidding. Christ already saved her. That's the metric.
Wait. What's BDSM?
Thicker White says that song just turned me fabulous, glitter included.
Are you gay?
Nah, hell no.
Hell no.
Hell no.
Come on, find the gay gene. Put it right here. Put it right here. You can't do it.
The fact that John Doyle has a Droog bobblehead from Clockwork Orange, or not bobblehead, what are they called? Those pop figures, that tracks. Nick says, is he going for a fascist Hunter S. Thompson look?
John.
What's up?
What's that?
Oh, just the new Michael Knowles book. What's up?
Okay, listen. We came down to Texas to make content, and you haven't put out a video in weeks. It's kind of gay.
No, you're right. And that's the thing, too. I've been wait, what'd you say?
What?
Texas content gay.
Bro, that's it. That's literally it, bro. That's literally it.
John, I just want to know what's going on so I can help.
Bro, it doesn't even matter. You did it. You did it, man. You did it.
Oh, no. I don't like this new Texas, John Doyle. What the fuck is this?
Where the hell is John?
I don't know. We left without him.
John, okay, look, everyone gets tempted into doing, like, bits in your show, like, oh, we're gonna do some scripted segments that are gonna tie it together with, like, a story, because so many people do that successfully on the internet. And, it doesn't work 99% of the time. It's always awful. Okay, not always. There are people who get away with it pretty successfully, but, like, they're few and far between. Morak Ben Eoth says, wait, I haven't read Clockwork Orange since college. Wasn't it very, very anti-fascist? I get the feeling that the things John Doyle takes out of A Clockwork Orange are very different than the things you or I take out of it. Diva the Q says, so John can't focus a mobile camera either. Towing24 says, anyone got a clue how much of Daddy's racist money did John piss away moving to Texas? He probably did it himself. I would imagine he makes decent money on his website. That was a Blink-182 song. I can remove it later on YouTube. It's fine. YouTube has a thing now where if a music or whatever gets played, it doesn't just, I mean, it blocks the video or it gives the money to the other person, but if your video is still privated, it gives you the option of removing that segment or muting it. He was reading the Unabomber Manifesto. Industrial society and its future. Yeah, okay, fun.
Fucking go, boys. Where did you just come from?
Oh, I hate the Antichrist.
Did you run all the way here?
I hate the Antichrist. You drove?
Oh no, John's trying to be funny. Oh no. I think John's first couple months away from home are not going well.
Did you see the book I was reading? This video is sponsored by Bang Energy. No, it's not. We have sponsors, though. This doesn't even work. Let's go.
All right, gamers, here we are, Cowboys, at the stockyards. We're gonna talk to Texans about Pride Month. Let's do it. I don't like talking to women. One of them has an earring.
Nick says, of course, it's sponsored by Bang Energy. It's not really. He just said that.
How's it going? Yeah, do you want to talk to us? Do you know what we just got done with? What? We just got done with Pride Month.
Wait, he didn't even film this until after Pride Month? John said he was going to get this out during Pride Month. And I assumed what was holding him up was editing, because editing can take longer than you expect. Shooting, this is just in my experience, shooting might go a little over what you expect. Editing can go very over what you expect. So I thought, okay, he probably shot this sometime earlier in June, maybe mid-June, and it's just taking a lot longer. But he didn't even film this until after June. What a lazy fucker. What's he been doing?
You know about Pride Month? He knows about Pride Month.
You probably don't want to talk to me about Pride Month.
No. I just want to show you some photographs. I want to get an authentic reaction.
All right.
Okay, first photograph. What's your thoughts?
You gotta show the photo, John. There we go. Thank you.
I got pride.
Okay, all right. Let's take it up a notch.
Again, this is just a drag queen, I'm assuming, doing a drag queen story hour. This is the least sexual, like, drag queen outfit I've ever seen in my life. They're just wearing silly makeup. Mike Mack says, I wonder, do people know that cowboys were mostly black people and Mexican? I don't think so.
They got pride.
Your thoughts?
That's just not my cup of tea.
You held back. I could tell you held back. It's all right.
Wow, even the homophobic person was like, John, I just don't want to talk about this.
Hey, I'm not in a position to do that. I'm a school teacher.
Okay, fair enough. So, I'm going to blur that guy's face out because he told us he was a school teacher. But think about that. The American male is in such a state where he knows that what he's talking about, he knows that what he's looking at is maybe a little bit weird, we'll say. But he doesn't feel as though he's in a position to talk about it, even though, we come up, we've got the cowboy hats, we've got the cacti shirt. We're allies. We're his greatest ally.
John LARPing as a country boy is officially the funniest thing I think I've seen all week. It's only Monday, so the bar is low, but just putting it out there. It reminds me of that episode of King of the Hill. Where the New Yorker came, God, can I find that episode? There was an episode of King of the Hill where someone from New York came to Texas and started wearing a cowboy hat and stuff, and it was really cringy. Like, John Doyle grew up in a suburb of Detroit. And he's wearing a fucking cowboy hat. Princess Amelia says, are the Americans actually like us Brits in that when you think cowboy, you see John Wayne? I mean, usually, like, that kind of imagery comes up because it's prominent in our pop culture. Speedy Yoshi says, this guy can't be openly hateful and still keep his job. What is this world coming to?
But he doesn't feel as though he can talk to normal, average people about what's going
on. Oh, John. You're not a normal, average person. Sorry.
On in the media. Why is that? Well, because we put a camera in his face. I mean, they kind of invited it, but still, it's like, what kind of society do we live in to where now we can show people...
We live in a society.
Images of children being sexualized, and they don't even feel like they can...
Again, none of the images you just showed were children being sexualized, John.
Comments on it if it's going to be on the public record. Very scary. I don't know if I'm a fan of it. Let's see what other people have to say. Transition.
I feel like if God is in it, then it's good, and I feel like a lot of those things hold a lot of evil, so yeah. I don't really support it.
Okay. But so you're homophobic and you're using God as an excuse. Fun.
Myself, I love gay people.
We love gay people too.
So
big gay people fans and respecters.
When it comes to like mass productions of like human psyche, trying to reach the media, trying to reach us on all these platforms, especially children.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like there's some dark energy.
Why do you think it always focuses?
Dark energy? Does she know John doesn't think she should have the right to vote? I'm just curious. Nick says, no, you don't love gay people, you Yeah, he knows. He's being ironic. He knows.
This is towards children. Like, it always starts with adults and things like that, but it always ends up towards children.
Children are impressionable, and they're naive.
True. So true. Well, are you from Texas?
Yeah.
From Dallas.
Okay, we're from we just moved to Fort Worth from Michigan about 4 months ago.
It's a big change.
Big change. Well, the politics weren't exactly that good up in Michigan.
Okay.
But that's actually why we're down here. We wanted to ask you because you look like you probably have an opinion on this. You know, last month we just got done with Pride Month. Curious to get what your thoughts were on that and what you think about how it's promoted in the media.
I'm okay with it. It's just the other stuff that goes on.
Yeah.
The destruction of property. That's the only thing that just...
Wow, even this Texas guy is like, I don't give a shit what people do. Good job. One Speedy Yoshi says, so the funny thing is Fort Worth went for Biden in 2020, so he's probably in the minority. Good to know.
Do you mind if we show you a couple pictures of some of the stuff that they were promoting and just kind of get your thoughts on it?
Well, we have 7 o'clock reservation.
All right, I don't want to hold you then, but I appreciate your time.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. The utter state of the boomer. They are showing this to your children. They are molding their brains.
How dare those older people not share the same beliefs as me? Why won't they be as homophobic? Where? We got a hats off, so I gotta put something on. Let's go with the sunglasses.
Well, hot damn, I just care about my property rights. It's like, good guy. Well, I just want to know what the Texan opinion on last month was. You know, last month was Pride Month. We were having parades. We were celebrating the LGBT community. We were, on full display with all sorts of weird BDSM, excuse me, I shouldn't say weird, prideful BDSM stuff at parades that were being attended.
Wait. What's BDSM?
I love that question. That is... When, how would you even describe that, Blake?
I mean, essentially it's when homosexuals and...
There are no straights who are into BDSM. You heard it here first, folks. 50 Shades of Grey? More like 50 Shades of Gay, am I right? They forgot to mention Anastasia Steele's throbbing cock throughout all of those books. Whoops.
Those similar torture themselves with leather and chains and whips and do it in public so the children can see.
Like 50...
Yeah, I was walking down the street the other day and there was just a whole gaggle of gays just whipping each other and I was like, those dang kids.
50 Shades of Grey.
Oh. In public.
Right.
50... No, it's not in public. Speedy Yoshi says he's literally about to mention 50 Shades of Grey. 50 Shades of Grey is a straight erotica series.
Right.
Okay.
And it was argued in legitimate publications such as the Washington Post and opinion articles that should be promoted at these Pride events so that children have a proper education as to what being gay is actually all about.
Oh my
You look like
God.
a mother, am I wrong?
You are not wrong.
The mama bear instinct is kicking in. What are your thoughts?
Was my jaw set like that? Well, first of all, I think anything that has to do with teaching children about sexuality happens in the home and in private. I don't care what you do and how you do it, but keep it private and respect other people's sense of morality.
Very well articulated. I can tell you're a radio personality. Blake, show her the pictures.
Yes, ma'am.
First thing that comes to your mind.
Lil Nas X? What a fucking champ.
Do you know what that is?
I have no idea.
There was a music video shot, and the concept of the music video was there's an African-American rapper who is homosexual, and the concept of the video was, I'm going to embrace this, descend into hell, have sex with Satan, to really just show all the...
And then he kills Satan like a true Christian.
Those uptight prudes that it's totally okay. And that's part of the music video. This went viral on YouTube, and that was shown to millions of children throughout the world.
Well, first of all...
Millions of children. This video that is specifically an explicit music video not meant for children. God, John's gotten way more dishonest since he moved, and that's saying a lot.
Children saw that, parents, you need to be doing a better job of watching what your children are exposed to, because you are...
What? Parental responsibility for the media your children intake? What a fucking wild idea.
Are the boss, they are the child until they're 18. So, and for this gentleman that I'm watching, you know what, to each his own.
There you go.
And what I would say is...
Oh, look at all the butterflies and bugs, though. I don't like that picture.
Bless his heart, I'll pray for him.
What about when they bring children into it and they dress them up and they're like drag queens and they dye their hair and put on makeup?
I find, here's my opinion, I've said this before, my opinion on child drag shows is the same way I feel about child beauty pageants. They're both weird. I don't like them. Stop it.
A little boy.
What I would say is, where's that little child's mom and dad?
It's so true. It's so true. And
so,
even
mom and dad, we need to be doing a better job with our children.
I know bless your heart is Southern for fuck you. I'm aware.
Oh, hi. Didn't see you there. I'm by a grill now, so you know that I made it home safely, and I'm just a normal guy like you. But here's the thing. Father's Day is coming up, and I can promise you that your dad doesn't want a mug or a tie. Oh, well, but John, Father's Day already happened. Yeah, and it's happening again. Okay, do you know how calendars work? Do you understand the concept of time? It technically is coming up. Also, your mom is the one who cries when you forget to call her on her half birthday. Your dad, it's like a coin toss whether he even knows your middle name, okay? He's not going to care, so you need to get him the products, get him the gift that will save him thousands in ammo, take his marksmanship to the next level. You need to get him iTarget Pro. iTarget was invented to give law-abiding citizens a cost-effective way to train in the safety and privacy of their own home. No more inconvenient trips to the range, no more expensive practice ammunition. Just download iTarget's proprietary app, load the laser bullet into your firearm, start your training experience. Oh, what does it do? What does it train? Muscle memory, sharpens target reaction speed, sight alignment, trigger function, and more. iTarget Pro comes in all the major calibers, including .223 for your AR.
I feel like that would be a terrible training device because there's no, like, recoil. You know what I mean? And I don't shoot guns, but I just feel like it's not really going to train you how to shoot properly, right? Because there's no recoil when you shoot the gun. Nick says, so this is telling us not to give any money to iTarget Pro, enabler of fascists and homophobes. And one Speedy Yoshi says, my dad owns guns, and if I got him bullets, he'd be like, what the fuck? I just wanted a sign for my garage.
So you can stay sharp with almost any firearm. Go to itargetpro.com, save 10% plus.
I think it's also just a recipe for some idiot with, like, poor gun. What do they call it? I don't know, poor discipline with their firearm that they're gonna not pay attention and have a live round in and think it's the laser one and they're gonna shoot their phone in a best case scenario. Sky Comet Fallen says, hello, fellow kids.
Let's get free shipping with offer code Doyle. This is the smartest way for you to practice, and it pays for itself in literally less than one day. That is the letter itargetpro.com, itargetpro.com, offer code Doyle. Very epic. Back to the video. Transition. Noticing here is a trend that I actually predicted before this. It wasn't recorded. Many of my best predictions aren't. But I'm still bathing in vindication, as I always am. People always ask me, John, does it ever get boring being correct all of the time? It actually...
John, do we have to go back to your after-election cope video? Because we can go there.
Does. it's almost parallel to that one Twilight Zone where the guy loved to read and then he wakes up, he's in the library, every book ever, and then he drops his glasses and he breaks his glasses. It's the same thing. It's like I am deprived of the excitement that is inherent to the possibility of being incorrect. It's a game for everybody else. Let the chips fall where they may, the coin toss. I don't have that luxury because I'm always correct. So you guys benefit, but I'm kind of, I get bored. That prediction.
Is John on drugs? Did he, move to Texas and get a drug addiction immediately? Because he's acting weirder than usual. Speedy Yoshi says, did you see John Doyle is trying to separate himself from Trump to go even more far right? I did see that. A Colston says, I made a private prediction and I was right. Believe me.
Prediction was basically as follows. We go down to a nice little wholesome Texan community here, a nice little tourist trap, and I expected to get a bunch of people saying, I don't really mind, just find God, don't shove it in our face, and that's
basically what you've seen so far.
It's really the case. So this tells us two things. It tells us, one, that the conservative position in terms of rhetorical approach to LGBT issues is incorrect. It's misrepresented. No one has contempt in their heart for these people. No one has malice. No one has hatred.
I would beg to differ in terms of when the camera's on you, John. Morok says, last bits for the day. Just want to say I was really into dressing up as a kid, but the pageant scene seems a bit much. But I feel the same about a lot of organized children's sports. Dads forced me into children's mixed martial arts, and that def messed me up in a negative way, and I can't say if it being a pageant kid would have been worse.
It is simply, hey, find God, and also don't throw it in our children's faces, which is exactly what a decent person would predict. These are decent people, and here we are. You want to talk to us?
No.
Oh, I mean anything. Literature, politics, art.
All right. I'm a Republican. I will not get vaccinated. I refuse to get vaccinated. You're not
it's like he ran into something that budded off of Caitlin Bennett.
going to infringe on my rights down here in Texas. How we do it. If y'all hungry, come eat.
We'd love to hear that. We just got done with, what's your name, by the way?
I'm Cece.
Cece, we just got done with Pride Month, right?
Oh, okay. Pride Month. Gotcha.
Well, judging by your tone, I feel like you have something to say. Give us your 30-second take on Pride Month.
It is what it is. I mean, if you choose to be a part of the LGBTQ, all for it, That's just not something that I personally find, it's against my religion, but all for it for anybody else. I just not a fan.
I've noticed.
One Speedy Yoshi says, hey, it's Caitlin Bennett's tumor that got removed and grew into their own being. And Nick says, oh no, another CC anti-vaxxer.
That too. I've noticed that as we've talked to different people around here, everyone is very just like, hey, it's against my religion, but do your own thing. No one has the hate in their heart that so many people ascribe to us simply for disagreeing with the narrative. But that being said, I have some photos I would like to show you.
Okay.
Your initial reaction.
I don't like him. I don't like what he posts. I think that it is just very disrespectful to any and everybody who does have a religion,
But religion's telling gay people they're going to hell for millennia. That's not disrespectful. That's fine.
Basis against that, I guess.
And you'll notice, too, that video was #1 trending on YouTube. That was shown to probably tens of millions of children around the world. What about this one?
Don't somebody think of the children? Bellum Guardian says, congratulations, CC. You discovered what art is. That's just like a cool picture of people in kind of neat outfits. Wait, is someone supposed to be outraged by that?
So, I can tell you right now, a lot of the things that trend on social media based on oh, sorry y'all, I just had a fly on my glasses. Based on everything that's trending on social media has to do with, the bigger picture, the deep state. I mean, they're putting...
Oh no! We're going here? Okay.
Things out on social media.
It's true. On
what they want people to see, not based on what's actually happening. Have y'all heard anything about the big explosion 100 miles off the coast of Florida?
No. Oh, she's a QAnon. She's a QAnoner. That's unfortunate. Princess Amelia says John seems genuinely disappointed at the live and let live attitude he's finding in Texas. He seems to really expected more like-minded fascists. I wonder if he'll ever recognize that he really is in the minority. Even most Republicans, I don't think, are John Doyle types. Speedy Yoshi says, I just had a fly in my glasses. I mean, the flies are attracted to pieces of shit. So,
Oh.
No, government blew up 40,000 pounds of bombs in the ocean. Gulf of Mexico's on fire right now. The rig out there, it blew up. I mean, these are things that are seriously happening that are causing all these tropical storms to happen that you're not hearing about. They're just talking about.
Does she think the government's controlling the weather? Colston says this is Baja's alter ego, Naha Nast. Sky Comet Fallen says flies are attracted to her because she's full of shit. Someone already made that joke. Good second attempt, though.
What they want you to hear, because they just want that division between the United States.
Why do you think that they focus so much on those types of things and really just pushing that in people's faces as opposed to, as you alluded to, Bill Gates controlling the weather cycles?
Because it has to do with covering things up. I mean, the government's behind so many things that nobody knows about based on what they're doing.
Even John's kind of making fun of her. Nick says, I've already made this joke before, but I did black out and it's already Tinfoil Tuesday. Or did I black out and it's already Tinfoil Tuesday?
Putting things out there to hide the truth on what they're really doing because they don't want people involved. They don't want people to know. They don't want anybody's opinion. They just want to go through with what they're doing.
It's so true. I tend to reject the whole Disney love at first sight. Oh, I really just love this girl. But when she said deep state, I felt something. But I don't know. I'm not... Maybe I'll go back and I'm going to get a gum wrapper and just write, do you like me? Checkbox yes, checkbox no, and I'll leave it and maybe I'll circle back and then we'll see. She might be the one, boys. Who knows? I could save her. Just kidding. Christ already saved her. That's the metric. Thinking you can save a girl is the wrong approach. Only Christ can save her. And maybe if you're a good enough man, then he'll give her to you, which is epic.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm getting almost to be... I'm like 27 now, which isn't that old relatively, but I'm older than John. I just don't feel like I don't know if I've ever had that amount of energy. He's just got like a weird jitteriness to him. John's 21. He just turned 21 recently. Samsada says, so if she's concerned with the government dividing people, why does she allow her religion to make it okay?
I don't miss. I just don't miss. You know what last month was? He's doing the math.
March.
What?
March? No, June.
Let's go.
Oh, this guy's gonna have insight.
Do you know what June is?
No, a month?
It is a month. That's correct. Your score is neutral. June was Pride Month.
Oh.
What do you think about Pride Month, big guy?
It's all right.
It's all right? You're neutral?
Yeah, I guess.
Are you gay?
Nah, hell no.
Hell no.
Hell no, not gay.
What's your opinion on the whole thing, the way it's being celebrated in the media, it's being taught to children now in public school? What do you think about that? You're from Texas?
Yeah.
What do you think about that as a Texan?
I really don't care for it.
Do you mind if we show you some pictures and just get your immediate reaction?
Yeah, hell no.
Okay, we got a hell no on that.
I don't like someone with crazy hair being near a child for some reason. Genuinely, I have a question. When they look at this, do they just associate this person who's a drag queen with, like, pedophilia and then they think it's gross for some reason? Because this is legit just like a normal picture of someone in drag posing with a person with a baby. Like, this is not sexual. This is not anything. This is literally just someone in drag with other people. It's so weird.
That one.
Second one.
That is tragic.
One word. How could you describe this picture?
Tragic.
Tragic?
Yes.
All right, what this one? One word.
I don't even know what to say to that.
All right.
At a kid's party?
Yeah.
Come on.
What about... See, it's interesting because for some reason as young men, we can't help but look at that and just think, that's kind of silly. It's a little bit silly. What if your son wanted to do that?
I mean, it is what it is, to be honest.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's
Yeah.
so true.
Oh, I don't know about all that.
Yeah.
I don't know about all that.
All right, man.
I don't know about all that either.
Could they have found a dumber person to... Like, I don't like to just make fun of random people, but that guy was either super high or super dumb or both high and dumb. I can't tell. Dr. Gamble says, sorry, John, that robot replicant is in power saving mode. Go somewhere else for your content. I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Think about that. Maybe breakdown. So I think that he basically represents the forgotten gamers of America, the average young man in this country who we don't really have a strong opinion against that type of stuff, but we just know that when it's shoved in our face, we can kind of look at it and be like,
we just know, aka I'm made uncomfortable viscerally by non-straight-laced straight people existing, and therefore our feelings need to be validated by telling you to go back in the closet.
I quote, nah, about all that. It's just, we just don't want to. And that's the problem. We were sold on this idea that it was just private individuals in the privacy of their own home or whatever, but such turned out to not be the case. And now we're at a point, arriving very quickly, where it's being pushed in the media, has been for decades, in public schools, and now you look at the rates, not coincidentally, of LGBT identification amongst the youngest generation, and it's skyrocketing.
The horror! Lily Lovestuff says, honestly, what irritates me the most about these homophobic people is that they have nothing to say about children actually being abused, especially by religious groups or, like, a man who hits on high school kids. And Nick says, because they're the ones abusing children in so many ways.
And the response to this is, oh, it's because they've always been 20% gay. It's just because now it's an accepting culture or whatever. If that were true,
Pretty much, yeah.
See the rates of self-identification increasing.
I was gonna say probably self-identification increasing in every age bracket, but it's only young people. It's almost like when you've been in the closet for decades and you're a 50-year-old person or a 40-year-old person, you're disincentivized from exploring your own identity. Weird.
Roughly proportionally amongst all generations, because everyone
called it.
Would be living in this culture, everyone would be like, oh, okay, we can all come out now. That's not true. It's only in the younger generations is it skyrocketing, is it going?
Yeah, older generations still feel shame and don't like gay people. Their opinions didn't change. The overall population did as younger generations came in.
Going up. All the other generations is staying about the same in terms of overall proportion. We also know that there's no biological factor in what manifests this other than perhaps prenatal hormone exposure, but
bold claim from a non-scientist. Felix Night Owl says the Bennett tumor could be slightly correct. As a veteran, I can say there's lots of waste, fraud, and abuse. If there's extra ammo left over before the end of the fiscal year, pilots do fly over the ocean and unload for training purposes. They won't get the same budget the next year if there's unused ammo, supplies, etc.
Science has not found what's referred to as the gay gene. Decades of research, millions and millions in grants and funding, and they haven't found it. Come on, find the gay gene. Put it right here. Put it right here. You can't do it.
It wouldn't matter if there was or wasn't. I don't care why people are gay or trans or whatever. They are. That's a fact. So you just have to recognize that.
Somebody make an argument from environmentalism on this fool for me.
Oh, hi, you're back. Right about now, I wish I had a friend to play some ping pong with, but I guess I'm not doing too well. You know who is doing well? Gun owners. Here's something I'm sure you've heard, but something that I will nonetheless drill into your head. With 5 million new gun owners and half the states signing constitutional carry into law, there is one company that has emerged as the leader in everyday carry, and that is We the People holsters. We the People holsters are 100% American made. It's a custom modeled holster to fit your exact firearm for a quick, smooth draw. With thousands of options to choose from, plus a selection of custom printed holsters, you're sure to find just the right fit for you.
Speedy Yoshi says, and they've been looking for cancer treatments for longer, and they haven't, thus it doesn't exist. If it's not discovered right away, it doesn't exist.
Your lifestyle, plus the proprietary clip allows you to customize the Canton ride for.
Look at the way he's prowling through, asserting himself. All right, what are your guys' names?
I'm Ella.
CJ. All right, Ella and CJ. Do you know what month it was last month?
Pride Month.
He knows. Look at this guy. He's ahead of the curve. What are your thoughts on Pride Month, CJ?
I mean, good they have, like, it's good they celebrated, but I mean, I don't know, I kind of wish there was a month for, like, soldiers and stuff like that, other than just a day.
Totally true. Did you serve, or do you have family that served?
My grandpa did in Vietnam.
Okay. I'm pretty... Hold on. First of all, Pride Month is not a national holiday. It's, you know, celebrated, but it's not like an official thing. There are, however, Holidays for the military. Let's see. Flag Day, Memorial Day, Veterans Day. There are other America-centric holidays like that. July 4th. And someone else says literally the month before Pride Month is Veterans Month. Well, there you go.
Okay. What about you?
Yes, my grandpa is also in the Army and all that, so.
I'm not going to let you dodge it. What's your opinion on Pride Month?
You know.
Go on.
Good for them, right? But, I mean, I have nothing to relate to it, so it's them. I'm going to respect it, but not my thing.
Do you mind if we show you some photographs and just get your first reaction?
All right. I like the artisticness. That's all. I like it.
That's every woman that we show that to is like, wow, their makeup is so like well done. Okay, continue, Blake. Did you see that music video?
No, wasn't he like going down the pole?
Yes, he was grinding.
Speedy Yoshi says she's based. I don't think she's based. She's just less shitty than John.
On Satan.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, that's just not my taste. But.
What do you think about how that's being mass marketed to children?
It's not, John. It's literally for adults, you stupid asshole. It's not even stupid, because I know John knows this. He's just disingenuous. He's just a fucking liar.
It depends.
I'd like it to be, like, later on, so, like, because it's weird to grow up, to like, you can grow up to learn a certain way, but
yeah,
I'd rather that be, like, you figure that out on your own later on in life.
What do you think about the child drag queen story hours at the public libraries? Have you seen those?
I have not.
So
no.
literally what it is they'll bring in drag queens at taxpayer-funded libraries and they'll have them read stories to children and they'll teach them how to twerk and they'll do all sorts of like seductive dances.
Yeah, I don't
like that. I feel like, again, learn later on. Make your own decisions when you're older.
I agree. You should at least wait until you're 18 to be grinding on Lucifer.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, that's disgusting.
Yeah. No, any minor grinding on Lucifer is bad parenting. But if you're 20, sure.
Okay, you're on your own.
Yeah, he's a liar, we know.
Do whatever, yeah.
If you were king for a day and you could do one thing, what would you do?
Oh my gosh.
Queen for a day, I apologize.
That's all right.
Nick says, go to a drag queen story hour, you fashy fuck. I don't think that would be a good idea for anyone. I don't want John around children.
You know what? That doesn't bother me. You can call me a king if you want.
Well, nowadays, when you misgender people, it might be a hate crime.
Oh, look, it's the one joke again.
I know where your heart is coming from, and you didn't do it maliciously. So why would it insult me? I'm confident in my humanity, my sexuality, who I am, and if you misjudge me, then that's not on me, that's on you. And I'm not going to be mad at you for that.
Unless you could get a book deal and you can go on CNN and you can get all sorts of publicity, but I can tell that doesn't matter to you. These earthly pleasures are not of your direct concern. I respect that. No. But
Queen for a day, so we're bringing that show back. Jeez.
Queen for a day, your one policy.
Oh my gosh, I just wish that people would love God and know God better.
I just want to install, a religious dictatorship, Oh man, my accent game is not strong.
Better. We all have a higher power. We all come from someplace higher. Embrace that and find out what your
Texas.
Purpose in life is, and your higher power. You have a reason. Every day we get up and put our feet on the floor and get out of bed and take a breath. That means our job's not done yet.
So true. What would you say if I called you homophobic? You would laugh. That's the perfect reaction.
I would laugh.
Just laugh. Just no, you're the weird one. I'm not weird.
Yeah, no.
He's a nice guy and everything. He dresses very well, but what can I say? The young Texan blonde women, they can't help but laugh around. I don't know what it is. It's an infectious personality. They love homophobia. What can I say? Oh, hi. Didn't see you there. Thanks for joining us on our journey in the stockyards, where we asked some questions, we had some conversations, we made some friends, we fell in love, and we learned to be reborn all in under an hour. What does this tell us? It tells us that Texans don't have hatred in their hearts. Hate has no home here, and if it did, BlackRock would probably buy it and make you into a debt slave, because usury capitalism is epic, I suppose. I digress. The point being that the most red state, the most gun-toting state, they don't have problems with people. No one has contempt for these different progressive movements. They just want to live their life, walk around the stockyards, drink in public, because that's what America's about, arguably. We'll see you next time, folks, on the next Heck Off Commie video, because there is more content coming. I have no excuse for my absence. It's delayed gratification, whatever, that's a cope. I apologize. We'll be back at it. I'm now going to fade away into the distance like Chris at the end of Stand By Me, leaving you, the audience, to reflect. And I'm going to give the microphone to my buddy, proxy cameraman, Paldo, and he's going to improvise a narration as I walk away. Make it somewhat noble, like I died an honorable death at 23. I'll let you, even though I'm 21. I got 2 years left. Glasses half full kind of guy. Okay. Goodbye, guys.
And it wasn't the last time we would see John Doyle. He continued to gain influence and power, making countless libs dangerous to themselves along the way. Although it was hard work, he gutted it out like he always did. Last week, he entered into a Culver's restaurant. Just ahead of him, 2 apparently rival gang members got into an argument. One of them pulled a high point. John, who would always remind everyone to view themselves as individuals, tried to break it up. He was lit the f*** up, died almost instantly.
Okay, that ending actually made me laugh. What is going on with John? Is he okay? Like, that was not... I think he's being away from home for the first time. And when I say that, I mean he moved out of his parents' house and moved to Texas. I'm sure he's having a very exciting time in his life, and I hope he's being safe and not taking drugs, because he actually kind of feels like he's on some drugs. Could be wrong, though. Anyway, eToon says, God, I want to dress up in the most ridiculous cosplay I can find just to harass these man on the street type chuds. Samsada says, let me tell you, kids don't wait till 18 to start grinding. Go to any high school dance. These guys are really trying to get these people on the street angry about these things. He's so transparent. He's someone I could see arguing with at a bar, because if you're of sound mind, you'd need to be inebriated to conversate with this fool. Colston says, I think I understand why I really don't like John. For all of the mad shit he talks in his video, he just radiates insecurity and social awkwardness when he talks to people. And Nick says, maybe he finally discovered wanking now that he's no longer living with his parents. It's uppers or mania. Also bunny. Okay, we can look at a bunny. Cute bunny. Moving on. So, let's watch Jeremy's newest video. Black Widow crushes box office expectations, or did it? Film only on pace to break even. So Jeremy did what he always does and never learns from his mistakes, so even though he did the whole get woke, go broke thing with Captain Marvel for like a year, and he was like, it's gonna fail, it's gonna be terrible, no one's gonna go see this movie, yada 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 yada, bullshit. Captain Marvel went on to be the 23rd highest grossing movie of all time. It made like 1.2 or 1.3 billion dollars or something like that. But of course, Jeremy doesn't learn. He never ever learns. Actually, can we see some of sometimes quartering receipts has some good stuff on this. Yeah, here's him talking about how he thinks it's going to Fail, these are thumbnails from some of his previous videos. Black Widow kinda stinks. Black Widow set to bomb. Is this the end for Hollywood? Does it suck? Black Widow gets woke. ScarJo gets woke. Black Widow blows it. And then it got decent scores. And it's broken pandemic era records. You get it? So anyway, let's take a look at his video and him trying to backtrack and claim that I didn't say it was gonna fail because woke, even though that's his whole MO and it's all he does about everything.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. This will be the first of 5 or 6 videos today, so if you had a good weekend, you know, maybe click that like button. And if you haven't yet, please do click that red subscribe.
How is Black Widow woke? Because it has a female main character. That's literally it. They just consider inclusivity and, like, diversity in protagonists. They consider that to be woke.
Button. YouTube is definitely doing something weird with subscribers right now, so make sure that you're still subscribed. I know it seems like a small thing, but it would be very greatly appreciated. Now, I live in the hot take industry, and you know, you try to bat 1,000 to use a sports ball term with that, but it's nearly impossible. And I think part of the hot take industry that is severely lacking is
the two genders, male or woke. True.
Owning up to mistakes, admitting when you were wrong, and that includes myself. And I think it's fair to say that at minimum, Black Widow definitely did better than I expected it would.
Oh, good. He's at least going to admit it a little bit. That's good. Good job, Jeremy. Black Widow's stunner. Disney's streaming revenue reveal may be a game changer. The conglomerate says the superhero pick made more than $60 million on Disney Plus Premier Access during its opening weekend, a sizable 27% of its global $218.8 million hybrid streaming box office debut. The Walt Disney Company stunned rival Hollywood studios and theater owners Sunday when it included premium video-on-demand numbers in its box office. Note for the female-led superhero pick starring Scarlett Johansson. It's the first time any movie studio has revealed such data for an opening weekend, and only the second time for any PVOD title after Trolls World Tour. Several weeks after Trolls 2 opened in spring 2020, NBC Universal chief Jeff Shell said the animated film had earned more than $100 million. Otherwise, viewership numbers have been kept in the vault, whether for PVOD titles or studio films opening simultaneously on their sister company's streaming service at no extra fee. Think HBO Max, Disney in some circumstances. Now along comes Black Widow to make the web more tangled and putting pressure on studios to reveal such information going forward on behalf of filmmakers, talent, and agents. Lord Necro Jay-Z says, I don't know how anyone takes his opinion seriously after he peed in his basement. And Sky Comet Fallen says, Jeremy, I crown thee king of neckbeards, tip thy fedora for the king. According to Disney's Sunday Note, the big-budget Marvel tentpole grossed more than $60 million on Disney Plus Premier Access, and they get all of that, because they own Disney Plus. There's no, like, splitting that with theaters, which is a big deal. So that $60 million is worth more than $60 million made at the box office. Subscribers had to pay an extra $30 to watch Black Widow, while debuting to a pandemic-era best $80 million at the domestic box office and $78.8 million overseas for a global theatrical bow of $158.8 million. The Disney Plus portion made up a hefty 27% of the total $218 million opening. And I don't think it opened in China yet either, which is a big market for these movies, so it'll be interesting to see how it does there. That $60 million from Disney Plus would mean that about 2 million of its 103 million global subscribers paid $30 to see Black Widow. Disney executives wouldn't say whether they will continue to reveal numbers for upcoming day-and-date Premier Access releases, such as July's Jungle Cruise, starring Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt and based on the iconic Disneyland ride, nor did they revisit the recent past and dole out Disney Plus Premier Access numbers for Mulan or Raya and the Last Dragon. Studios including Disney and Warner Brothers have indicated that the day-and-date practice is a consequence of the pandemic, which wiped out moviegoing. Warner's making its entire 2021 slate available at no cost to HBO Max subscribers, so it would be almost impossible to give a revenue figure in the same way. There was immediate speculation as to why Disney decided to announce the Disney Plus numbers for Black Widow. While 80 million domestically is nothing to smirk at amid the ongoing recovery, some analysts had hoped Black Widow would clear 90 million, but the movie's progress was stalled when traffic fell a steep 41% from Friday to Saturday, an almost unprecedented drop for a Marvel title. For marketing purposes, it's great to show people the movie made over 200 million for the weekend. It's a psychological number, says Wall Street analyst Eric Handler of MKM Partners. Tucker White says, so basically you're paying more to see it on Disney Plus than at your average theater? It's like Disney's trying to get people to go back to theaters. It just depends. Like, even if it was just me and Baja, and I'm sure we're going to watch Black Widow on the upcoming weekend or whatever when she's down here, that's $15 each. A ticket around here is like $11 or $12 plus concessions. Equals about the same if you have at least 2 people watching, but just depends. It's a deal if you have like a family of 4 or 5. Just depends. Other sources believe Disney may have been trying to send a message to some exhibitors overseas who are reluctant to play Black Widow because of the day-and-date release. That applies to some theater owners in Japan who wanted better terms than Disney was willing to offer. Also, the box office is still in recovery mode and far from operating at normal levels in some parts of North America and overseas. U.S. moviegoers who are 35 and older are far less likely to return to the multiplex, while some parents are reluctant to take unvaccinated kids, thus it's impossible to know how many of those watching Black Widow on premiere would have gone to the cinema. You get it. Yeah, I would have gone to see Black Widow in theaters, but I'm still not comfortable going to a movie theater, so it's interesting. I'm actually impressed with how much it did. It did more than I thought in theaters, considering we're still kind of dealing with a lot of unvaccinated people.
And Disney Plus Premier Access did way better than I thought it would. And I also think that it's important. I'm trying to get better at this, and I hope you guys are seeing that. I don't want to shame my viewers for consuming, so to speak. If you want to pay $30 on Disney Premium to watch Black Widow without leaving your house, that's totally fine.
Yeah, he bitches about people being consumers or something in this, which is incredibly ironic considering what he spends his money on. I think Quartering Receipts had a tweet a while back in response to this, where he pointed out some of the very expensive things on the Quartering's wall that are complete consumer bullshit. Can I find it? That would be good. I don't know if I'll be able to. Control F, consumer. Let me see. I can't find it, but I saw the tweet earlier. Basically, it was showing some of the special edition Magic the Gathering sets he had in the back, and one was like $200 and one was like $400. Something like that.
I hope that you don't get
someone linked it, I think. Yeah. Consumers in my mentions celebrating paying $60 million to stream Black Widow this weekend have me rolling. Yes, you totally owned me by giving Disney $30 to stream a movie on top of their monthly fees for Disney Plus. And then, this is another one where he says, by the way, as always, nothing wrong with consuming. That wasn't the exact tweet I was thinking of, but similar.
The impression that that's something to be ashamed of, or, that, you let anyone down. To your money, your free time, maybe you've got a family of 3 or 4 and it's actually cheaper for you. There are families who pay for Disney Plus that absolutely have a financial case to pay $30 to see it. I am genuinely shocked that Black Widow brought in $60 million just from Disney Plus subscriptions in the first weekend.
Why? I don't understand why he's shocked by that. I mean, it's good numbers, but like, it's from the most popular movie series on the planet. Why are you surprised?
That's 2 million households paying $30 to see this movie. Now, I think what I underestimated, now I do have that thumbnail that's like, will Black Widow tank?
You have many that are like that. You've said that multiple times. This is the thing with Jeremy that's interesting. He'll always kind of go back and forth on his opinions on things. He'll kind of waffle, so no matter what happens, he can like always say, well, this other time I said it might do great. It's a Marvel movie. So we'll kind of take every position he can on an issue. That way when you call him out for his clear primary narrative, which is the whole get woke, go broke thing, it's literally behind him. And by calling Black Widow woke, he's clearly implying that he thinks it's going to go broke. And he said things to that effect. But then he'll be like, well, I said it might do fine. It's like, okay, I see what you're doing, though, Jeremy. Everyone sees what you're doing. Bellum Guardian says the grease in his beard makes him all slippery. Might be some basement pee, too.
I don't think I ever really said with any conviction I thought the movie would tank. And I still...
We've literally watched videos on this channel where he said that.
Wonder if the film will have legs. And I still stand by my opinion that the billion-dollar Marvel movie era is over. Now, their best bet will probably be...
probably Spider-Man.
Thor.
Oh, yeah, the last Thor movie was popular.
Love and Thunder. I still don't think that will make $1 billion. Maybe you can make a case for...
I think the billion-dollar movie industry in general's done for a while. I still think it's going to take a couple of years for, if they ever recover completely to pre-COVID numbers. Like, there's still people not comfortable going to theaters, myself included.
Spider-Man. That Spider-Man kind of lives in its own kind of universe, so that's possible. But I still think that era is done. But if you're going to bring in $100 million, you know, of every release or whatever, from Disney Plus, you know, premium payments, I'm probably going to be wrong about that too. Marvel's Black Widow made $60 million on Disney Plus. Is that good? In 2020, superhero movies were far from box office hero. Granted, obviously the lockdowns, but not much could be counted on to save that day. Still, all three comic book adaptations that debuted that year, Birds of Prey, New Mutants, and Wonder Woman 1984 in the middle of lockdowns, brought in grosses that paled in comparison to even middling superhero films of the previous decade. Without any historical precedent during an industry-crushing shutdown, it's impossible to know if superhero fatigue played a role in the performance of these movies. I agree with that. But
they're also just shittier movies. Birds of Prey, well, I thought it was fine in and of itself. Terrible ad campaign, and it was connected to Suicide Squad, which was terrible. Wonder Woman 1984 is part of the DCEU, which is not popular, and the New Mutants, I don't know if anyone knew about the New Mutants. They specifically did not advertise for it, because they're rebooting the Mutants anyway.
That uncertainty, coupled with the deep investment by Disney, Warner Bros.
That said, I completely understand if people's, like, want of seeing comic book superhero shit, I understand if they're over it. I totally get it. I'm a big comic book fan, so I'll, like, never get sick of this. I'm just enjoying it while it lasts, but I recognize it's probably on borrowed time. The day of the Avengers being the most popular movies in the world is probably over, and now we're just waiting for whatever the next big trend in movies is going to be before it fully takes over. Still, I've enjoyed the last decade of getting really cool superhero movies and TV shows.
And Sony, in theatrical superhero features for the next 5 years, made the debut of Black Widow that much more of a crucial bellwether for the overall financial health of the genre. I agree, 100%. By Saturday, the film's financial outlook appeared to be bright. Black Widow had pulled in a mighty $40 million on Friday, putting the film on track to end the weekend with $100 million. That would have been on par with the best debuts for standalone Marvel movies, and on top of whatever film revenue it was making from Disney Plus Premium Access. Not that Disney would ever share that figure, or so everyone thought. But then on Sunday morning, Disney did what other studios only teased, putting an actual figure on the movie's digital revenues. It reported that Black Widow had earned $60 million on Disney Plus worldwide, in addition to the $158 million it earned at the global box office. The disclosure was surprising. I agree. I was shocked. I really was. Now, I'm assuming that means that they thought it was good. Why did Disney decide to release the VOD numbers? The only two certainties in life are death and taxes, but if Mark Twain were alive in the year of our Lord 2021, he would also add opaque streaming service metrics. Hollywood studios, namely Universal, Warner Brothers, and Disney, have been releasing movies day and date, streaming platforms, and the theaters for roughly a year now, and while have dutifully reported box office revenues each week, they've never divulged VOD numbers, at least not in a way that carries any context. Which made it all the more shocking, of course, when Disney shattered the industry-wide omerta over streaming data by announcing that Black Widow made $60 million on VOD. So why now? Why this movie?
Because it did well, because 60 million is really good for that.
Disney declined to comment, yet the sense, at least from a rival studio execs, is that Disney wasn't...
It's also probably a bargaining chip for them getting stuff... Getting better... how do I put this? Getting better conditions for Disney in their negotiations with theaters, because now they can take that number to theaters and say, oh, you don't want to give us what we want? Maybe we just won't give you the movie to play in theaters at all. We made $60 million the first weekend on Black Widow. Can you imagine how much we would make if we only put it on Disney Plus or whatever? Try and completely cut out theaters from the market. It's a negotiation tool, I would assume. So that's a kind of unfortunate in the sense that Disney's going to shit on, especially I imagine small local theaters. I'm not as concerned with like AMC and the big theater chains, but it's probably going to hurt independent theaters, let me put it that way, or smaller chains.
Initially planning to release streaming revenues, but Marvel Studios movies come with a pristine box office track record across 23 features. Black Widow did start the weekend strong, but once ticket sales dropped 41% on Saturday to 22 million for the day, it became apparent the film no longer had a shot of clearing 100 million on a single weekend. And yet, on Sunday, the studio claimed that Black Widow earned the highest domestic opening of any MCU film after Black Panther and Captain Marvel. On box office alone, that's simply not true. Spider-Man Homecoming, 117 million. Iron Man, 98 million. Guardians of the Galaxy, 94 million. Doctor Strange, 85 million. All made more in their domestic debuts. Black Widow needed the Disney Plus revenue to push past those titles. However, Disney declined to disclose how much of the 60 million came from domestic Disney Plus subscribers. So if we're talking taking Disney's claim about Black Widow at face value, then we all know for certain that it made somewhere north of 37 million from domestic premium access. An $80 million domestic box office debut setting a post-lockdown era record is certainly nothing to sneeze at. But part of Marvel Studios' mystique is that it's unquestioned box office supremacy, and Disney apparently needed Black Widow to be more than a middle ground financial performer for the MCU. At a quick glance, 60 million is good. By the way, this is via Variety.com.
Morok says, I know I said no more bits today, but I love theaters. I don't know why, it's just the experience of going to one. I adore it. I'd be so mad if the theater industry died, especially the local theater. I could respect that position. I'm sick of movie theaters, probably because everyone in my area is super rude. And they'll like be on their phones and have it at full brightness in front of you, and it's like, I want to watch the movie. I don't want to watch you text someone about what you're seeing in the movie or whatever. Tucker White says, so basically Disney Plus is just further reason to trust Bust the Mouse. Yeah, probably.
Unlike box office grosses, in which studios generally agree to split 50-50 with the movie theater owners, Disney doesn't have to share the majority of revenues for the streaming service offerings. Due to Disney's box office dominance, they sometimes get better figures. That means the Magic Kingdom gets set to enjoy all of the riches that come with the 60 million earned globally from the VOD. Of course, at $30 per rental, that means 2 million people opted to watch Black Widow at home this weekend, plus on top of the monthly subscription, of course. when a movie generates $1 billion at the global box office, as MCU movies recently have, grosses say they tend to gross even more money on premium video on demand rental platforms than a movie that didn't have that kind of box office run. It's going to be interesting. I think that what this article is running at here is that there's a lot of spin and a lot of overly optimistic numbers being reported. I think that Disney doesn't report that number if the movie does incredibly well at the box office.
I can see where Jeremy's actually going with that. I would imagine it was certainly a factor because it makes the opening weekend numbers look better, but I still think part of it has to do with its strong opening on Disney Plus. Again, I think allows them better negotiation on their side with theaters. Definitely worse for theaters, but for Disney, it's in their best interest to be like, hey, we have options.
That said, as much as I dislike Hollywood these days, I still love the theater experience, and I love all my, all the employees, all my viewers who work at theaters, and I want them to continue to have jobs. I just want better movies coming out. I don't think Black Widow by any stretch of the imagination was a bad movie. That would be disingenuous to say. It's another mediocre Marvel movie that served its purpose. You got to enjoy some popcorn, get out of the house, have an icy, have some M&Ms or Reese's Pieces, or whatever it is that you enjoy.
You gotta do Bunch of Crunch. You gotta do either Bunch of Crunch or Snow Caps.
Enjoy at the theater, and therefore, in that sense, it was a success. It's nothing to remember, it's nothing to write home about, but no Marvel movie has been for a very long time. And I would argue that even Endgame wasn't that great.
I liked Endgame, but I understand if someone didn't. It was pretty self-indulgent and very referencey. I enjoyed it, though. I also enjoyed Spider-Man Far From Home. I've enjoyed the Marvel series so far. I'm a big Marvel fan, though, so...
It had its moments, but the movie was bloated, too long. Yeah, that's neither here nor there. You see Trolls World Tour, which skipped theaters to debut on demand on April, after all theaters are still down after its launch. NBC Universal CEO Jeff Shell told the Wall Street Journal it racked up $100 million in rentals in 3 weeks, more than the first film made after 5 months in the theaters. The statement sparked controversy, nearly threatening a battle between the film exhibition industry, and Universal did not share numbers ever again. There are a lot of people, and I've said this before, there are a lot of people that, quite frankly, will never go back to the movie theater. They are so scarred by, the last year that there's no point to go back into the movie theater, and they just feel safer at home.
I don't even know if it's necessarily a safety thing long term. It's more just like, I'm fortunate in the sense that I have a pretty nice home setup. I have a very large 4K TV and decent audio, which is only going to get better over time as I continue to sort of expand the equipment I have. And it's just more convenient for me. I don't know. I'm not going to say I don't miss anything about the theater. The theater has unparalleled, picture and sound and everything. But I just really don't like being around strangers. I just don't like it. I don't know. So, I don't know. I'm sure I'll go back eventually, but I would imagine, especially if Disney continues to put stuff on Disney+. Because these days, most of the movies I go and see in theaters are Disney anyway. The other ones I just wait till they're out on streaming on Amazon or something, and then I'll rent them. Like, I don't feel the need to go to the theater for things outside of those big popcorn movies, like a Star Wars movie or a Marvel movie. I just don't feel the need to. Ducker White with 30 bits says just I assume you accidentally hit enter.
And I respect that. But when you look at this...
Yeah, and like when you're at home watching a movie, like you can pause it and get up and use the bathroom. If you need to stretch your legs or whatever, you can get your own snacks. You could have, your own dinner that you make with it, make it a special occasion. I don't know. There are benefits to going to the theater. I'm not saying there aren't. I'm just saying for me personally, I'm a lot more comfortable at home.
When you look at what's actually going on, there's been a massive amount of spin. You see Pirates and Princesses, Black Widow to break even. Media spin the narrative wildly. And that's exactly it. You're talking about
What was Black Widow's budget? Let's see, Black Widow's budget. That's box office. Budget. Okay, the budget was $200 million. So far, the box office is $160 million. We just got over its first weekend. It just depends how much they spend on the marketing budget. The marketing budget is traditionally, you just take the budget of the film and then you just add that again. So you just basically take the budget and multiply it by 2, and that's usually the budget plus the advertising. For Marvel films, it might be a bit different, though, and we also have a weird situation. It hasn't opened in China yet, correct. So I would say it'll definitely break even, and it might make a profit. Depends on how it does in China. I don't know. We're in very weird times in terms of box office, though. So I don't think Black Widow is indicative of much of anything. Fail or succeed or break even or whatever. Like, we're just in a really weird period where people are just getting the vaccine and easing back into going back to normal on things. Tucker White says, Take Two, I'll always be a four-letter word that starts with S for the theaters, especially since I live just a few minutes from Regal Cinema's world headquarters, just across the Tennessee River. As long as Regal's flagship theater remains a go-to destination, I'll always go. Well, I hope it remains a thing for you. Felix Night Owl says, I've had so many dates at the theater and friend get-togethers. I hope theaters stick around. It's one of the few things I have to claim as social life. Yeah. And I want to thank everyone who's invested in AMC theaters over the last couple months. You made me some money. Thanks. I missed your bits. Hold on. Morok says, I see like everything in theaters, but I'm a movie nerd. Remember, I was the only person in the theater for Parasite and The Lighthouse. Good times.
film with a $200 million budget. You see, internally I had discussed with Pirates and Princesses editors that writers that look like Black Widow would pull between 60 and 70 million at the domestic box office. In reality, it's going to come in a bit higher, between 75 and 80. We now know it's 80. Overall, that's pretty darn close to what we expected. But don't forget, that's just 24 hours ago, and trades are pushing this movie as a $90 million weekend, and even Scott Mendelson was pushing a $100 million scenario. All of it was bunk. Beyond the ridiculous media spin and hype around this movie, I'm going to give you hard math so you can see behind the curtain. Black Widow is likely to make between 75 and 80 million for the weekend domestically, and any attempts to figure out where the money is coming from on Disney Plus is a game of folly. Disney has that info, and unless it releases it, there's zero chance we'll be giving out, the figure. Black Widow should come in around $200 to $215 million for its debut worldwide, which is exactly where it came in. Disney claims $215 million worldwide victory at the box office, and Disney Plus premiere with Black Widow. Will this distribution model endanger a movie's life cycle? I mean, I don't know. I just think that you're going to have a lot of people that would rather just watch these movies at home. Now, I used to think that Marvel movies were automatic, something I would automatically want to see in the theater, but now people have pretty nice home setups. You see, seems like a big number. Well, you might consider that 100 million of that goes before it reaches a worldwide box office pull for Sonic the Hedgehog. Oh, I'm sorry. It needs another 100 million to beat Sonic, a movie that released at the beginning of the lockdown and had its full revenues possibilities zapped since it couldn't launch in China. A CGI live-action hybrid video game movie that was likewise handicapped by the lockdowns has Black Widow beat by $100 million. Let that...
Sonic released, right as that shit was happening. What are you talking about?
Sink in. Will Black Widow ultimately beat Sonic? Probably. But
they're claiming other sites are giving spin. Yikes. And they probably are. But, so is this. This is just a spin in the opposite direction.
Not the full game Hollywood's playing. Black Widow's total budget was about $200 million. Sonic had a cost of less than half. Just like any business, movie studios need to make money to spend money on more movies, even Disney. So what Black Widow needs to recoup that very large expenditure, beyond just production costs, movies tend to double their original budget with marketing campaigns. Given that Black Widow's huge budget already, let's be on the safe side and say that Disney spent only $100 million on advertising. I disagree with that. They had to advertise this movie twice, pre-lockdown, all of the
Punky Gale 90, thanks for subscribing with Prime.
Advertising to keep people interested, and then the full release of it. Remember that they only get about 25 or 50% of the box office revenues. China sometimes as low as 25%. With all that understood, Disney needs to recap $300 to $400 million for Black Widow to make money. Black Widow's made $200 million on the weekends worldwide, of which Disney will receive $120 million. Well, remember, they will also receive the full $60 million from Disney Plus. So it'll be interesting to watch, see if this film has any legs whatsoever. I'm predicting it won't, but I've already been wrong once. So let's see how it shakes out.
I appreciate him saying that. That's good.
Did you watch Black Widow? Did you like it? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
At least he's admitting he was wrong. I can respect that at least a little bit. He's still a chud, but you know. Marvel star promotes socialism. Lovely. Actor blasts woke Hollywood, and it's Dean Cain. Oh, the quartering. What does Sticks and Hammer have to say about Nick Fuentes being banned on Twitter? Let's check this out. For those who don't know, Nick Fuentes is an American neo-Nazi who was involved in the January 6th snafu at Congress. Anyway, he finally got banned from Twitter because he's a Nazi, so...
Alright everyone, we start off today talking about Nick Fuentes. Of course, he's been banned off of Twitter. It finally got banned. I would have expected months and months ago based on some of the things that he said. Like, he must get constantly reported. It's actually strange that they didn't, because usually Twitter is really has a trigger finger when it comes to banning people. They've taken down some of my tweets before that were totally innocuous.
I'm sure they were totally innocuous.
And Jack Dorsey is clearly not a fan of the concept of free expression, although he continues to talk about it.
Twitter is trash. I agree. Follow me on the trash pile that is Twitter, at Hannah Reloaded on Twitter.
Got it. And by the way, this is a total coincidence, but this is less than 24 hours after the ADL puts out their hit piece about Nick Fuentes. So
I read the ADL's piece on Nick. It was just accurate statements and receipts of tweets and statements he has made in the past. It was literally just, here's all the times Nick Fuentes has espoused neo-Nazi ideology.
So ADL puts out the hit piece a few hours later. Nick's no longer on Twitter.
Bellum Guardian says everyone on Twitter be like, I hate Twitter, myself included.
Totally coincidental. Absolutely.
I doubt it's coincidental. It was probably very purposeful. He's a neo-Nazi. Fuck him.
And by the way, it isn't because of a flagging raid or something. Because anyone that's a reader of the ADL already thinks Nick Fuentes is like, the next Goebbels or something, so they would have already been headhunting after him. This is clearly, they contacted Twitter. And the ADL basically exists just to grift anyway. The only reason that they exist is to make propagandist posts, stink pieces about people in order to make more money. See, there's really no fundamental problem with hate in the United States. It's not actually a hateful country. God. By and large, the West...
What's the ADL? It's the Anti-Defamation League.
And the West is, most of the internet, by and large, is not filled with people that have even particularly out there beliefs that people would consider particularly bad. And so the ADL and like the Sharptons of the world, the SPLCs, they have to grift constantly and make problems where they don't really exist. And so they have to...
Nick Fuentes is a neo-Nazi, Sticks. Tucker White says, don't you just love how no matter your political ideology, race, religion, etc., we all universally agree that Twitter fucking sucks? Yeah, Twitter sucks because we all suck.
Keep expanding the definition of racism. Any satire that's edgy, they've started going after comedy. almost exclusively.
Can I get some examples?
They're constantly bitching about Crowder, for example.
And we all know Steven Crowder is a very loving, accepting man, and his comedy never comes from a place of straight-up hate or racism or homophobia. Clearly, it's just good old-fashioned satire.
Now, first and foremost, links down below and a pinned comment if you're watching this on YouTube. Keep in mind, Big Tech constantly bans people. If you're not following me on one of those 4 sites, especially the 3 that are new tech, then you're not getting all of the videos that I make every day. Also, I'm on Twitter. I just shitpost there by and large at this point. I don't even bother sharing my videos out because nobody gets notified anyway.
His tweets are the cringiest. Have you ever checked out Styx's tweets? He just whines at people. Like, anytime the Joe Biden Twitter account or, like, the White House Twitter account or the Bernie Sanders Twitter account says anything, he just says the most childish responses. Like, literally, I've seen ones before where he just responds and says, like, well, fuck you. Like, it's so pathetic. Mix Gothy says, Nick has a show on Alex Jones's network and it's bad. The podcast Knowledge Fight covered it. Okay. I've been listening to Behind the Bastards, but I'll try and remember to put that on my list of things to listen to. Hey, Cassie. You want to come and say hi to everyone on stream?
It's a great place to satirize, like, Beijing Biden and Bernie Sanders and stuff. I would think, and this is something I've said before, when you have a site like Twitter that platforms USGS alerts, weather alerts, government...
Hold on, let me pull that up. Knowledge Fight. Is it just a podcast that covers, like... Is it just a podcast that covers, Yeah, okay. Wow, that's a lot of episodes. Jesus Christ, do they just cover every episode? Wow. Interesting. Thank you. Tucker White says, Styx just basically regurgitates talking points. It's so paint by numbers that I half expect his tweets to end in bottom text.
Government figures that are tax...
Wait, Kiwi Farms might be no more soon? Let me look. The owner of Kiwi Farms, a message board notorious for its community's tendency to harass, dox, and stalk the subjects of his mockery, shared a message to the board today informing users that the site has lost its domain registrar. They've been given 14 days to find a new one. They'll probably find a new one. I hope not, though. That site's a fucking garbage fire.
Taxpayer funded and so forth. Is it not a breach of equal protection under the law, since you can communicate with, interact with that content that, again, is in part taxpayer funded? When those are platformed by a supposedly private platform, is it not a violation of U.S. citizens' fundamental equal rights to get banned and not be able to participate with that material? The same would be true for a Facebook page, let's say the White House YouTube page or something. These are things, the people that are actually managing those accounts are taxpayer funded, in part or in whole. The services are taxpayer funded. Nick Fuentes, for example, is a proportion of the money that he has to pay in taxes when he does his streams, or when he does a one-off video, when someone donates crypto to him or something, he pays taxes. A shred, a proportion of that goes towards paying public officials that now he can't interact with anymore.
Okay. It's Twitter. He can write a letter. Twitter doesn't become public that way. Again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you actually want to nationalize Facebook and Twitter and stuff and start applying, like, the law as a government entity to them, that's fine. Do that. But then you have to do that. You can't just backdoor claim that a private entity is public because you don't like their policies. That's not how it works. Tucker White says, until websites like Twitter are federalized like they should be, the answer is no, Styx. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you want to nationalize these sites, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I understand the argument that they've become integral to sort of the public square in our culture. That's fine. I understand and even mostly agree with that position. But currently, they are owned by private entities, and until you change that, the First Amendment does not apply.
have his constitutional rights not been violated, is what I would, not even beyond the First Amendment. Yeah, there's the right to free speech, the free press. Of course, blogging and vlogging is an activity of the press.
Yes, and the government cannot stop you from doing those things. Twitter is not the government.
Explicitly. But even beyond that, equal protection, which is something that the leftoids constantly ran about. They think it's a violation of equal protection to have a voter ID law. So keeping that in mind, their almost worshipful reverence for this, why is it that the same left not only ignores it completely with regards to this, despite the fact, again, that taxpayer money is involved with managing some of these handles and accounts and so forth.
Taxpayer money is involved in the vast majority of large corporations in one way, shape, or another. Trying to claim that Twitter is somehow a government or state actor because there are politicians on it is stupid. If the deli down the street, its patrons are mainly Congress people or politicians, does that restaurant all of a sudden become a government entity? That's not how it works.
But literally encourages multi-billionaires like Jack Dorsey to pick and choose who can be part of the public square.
Here's the problem, Sticks. The public square is private and owned by Twitter. Nationalize it then. Have the federal government come in and buy it, and then run it, if that's how you want it to work.
It is the de facto public square, not just Twitter, but the big tech sites in general.
Okay, if it's de facto, make it de jure. Hydrate.
What sites hasn't he been banned from at this point? I think he got banned off YouTube, if I remember correctly. I think. So he does like D-Live and shit mostly. I think he got banned off Twitch, if I remember correctly. Although I don't really follow Twitch streaming and anything like that, so I mean he might still be there.
No, I think he
Facebook,
got banned.
I'm pretty sure, but Zuckerberg's banned everyone who's not a boomer. So man, that's not even. It doesn't even matter anymore. We don't even need to talk about that. The only thing Zuckerberg owns that's of use anymore is Instagram, and Instagram is basically just people taking lewd photos of themselves but being too cheap to make an OnlyFans. Where hasn't he been banned from? In the modern public square that is essentially tech-related. How are his rights not being violated if he's not able to interact with taxpayer-funded content?
Because Twitter is a private platform. If he wants to talk to Congress people, he can call their office, he can send them letters, he can go to their office and set an appointment if they do that. Twitter is not your only avenue, and it's not a state actor. They do not owe you a right to their platform. Speedy Yoshi says it's not de facto, it's de jure.
Once you're banned off Twitter, you're not supposed to make a new account. Now, people do. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a couple of burners anyway, registered under a different phone number and so forth, just for the purposes of shitposting or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised. But it still violates his rights. We've got an active lawsuit.
No, it literally doesn't. Pulp Free Fiction says Fuentes and Milo should look up what happened to Ernst Röhm and Eric Hausen. They spent so much time brown-nosing fascists, but if their buddies ever took power, they'd get rewarded with a first-class ticket to the gallows. I know. It's so stupid. People make the same mistakes over and over again.
Suit right now against big tech with regards to Florida, a class action that Trump just climbed aboard the other day because they've got a law now where they're going to go after the big tech sites for.
It's the funniest lawsuit ever, by the way. We reread it the other day on stream. It's a complete non-starter in terms of a lawsuit. First of all, Facebook has a clause in their TOS that basically says, or maybe it was Twitter, I don't remember, that if you're going to sue them, you have to sue them in a specific district in California, and instead they tried to sue in Florida. And then the other issues, there are a myriad of issues with this lawsuit. There are legal analysts on YouTube and Twitter who actually looked at this, and their responses are very funny. It's them laughing at it and basically pointing out it's ridiculous. But one of the more ridiculous things is that they're claiming that Twitter is a state actor. They are claiming that Twitter basically is a part of the government because there are certain regulations that apply to these social media sites, and therefore that makes them empowered by the government. that argument would mean every single entity in the country is a state actor because laws apply to them. It's very strange.
Deplatforming or censoring public figures. Of course, Trump, having been president at the time, was banned off several large platforms, so he would be part of that class action suit. The court won't be able to find no standing, considering the nature of the lawsuit. I don't...
Incoming lack of standing claim.
I don't think that they'll rule in favor of the plaintiffs, but it'll be an interesting legal case. And again, it's like the pebble that causes the rock slide. It's like the straw that breaks the camel's back. At some point, I think there's a backlash against this censorship, but we're still in the dark ages right now. People are beginning to wake up. But the problem is, what happens is that in the lead up to things like this, you have extensive character assassination campaigns of the individuals. So Nick Fuentes isn't a sly and slightly wry comedic figure, which is how I interpret much of what he says.
He's not! He's a neo-Nazi, you fucking piece of shit!
A lot of it is couched as humor. Now,
haha, I dog whistled being a neo-Nazi by being a jokester, haha. I shit posted, therefore my Nazism isn't Nazism.
Does he have beliefs, ethnic in nature, that I disagree with? Yeah.
What beliefs are those, Sticks?
Do I have a problem with that? No, and here's why.
This is a lot of words, whatever he's about to say, for I'm an ethno-nationalist, but let me explain why.
I don't think that Nick Fuentes making a Twitch stream or Nick Fuentes making a shitpost on Twitter is going to cause big societal problems. I honestly, genuinely don't believe that. The ADL and Twitter and these sites want me to believe that somebody...
The last 5 years or so would like a word with you, Sticks.
Like him, or Richard Spencer, or the Doctor of Common Sense, who got banned before Jones, if I remember correctly, based on some of his commentary, coming far out of the right wing, by the way, and the actual extreme right wing of commentary, who has been completely disappeared off the internet mostly. I don't believe that any of that individual content is, for instance, capable of starting a civil war, starting a war in general. But could big tech do that? Yeah. Big tech could absolutely nudge public discourse in the direction of invading a country. Absolutely they could. Can the government do that? Yeah, they're the ones that explicitly would have to start the war regardless. These powerful entities worry me. Nick Fuentes does not worry me.
Nazis tend to worry me.
There is no online...
Whether it's one or many, they're not good.
...commentator who is so all-encompassing that their particular discourse is likely to cause any significant problems in society.
When have Nazis ever caused any problems in any society? Guys, I bet you can't name me even one example, because there are no examples of Nazis fucking up a society, except for the big one, you know, the whole... Let's ignore that one, though. Let's ignore that, okay? We're just gonna pretend that didn't happen. Speedy Yoshi says, oh god, look at his shelf. He literally has a thing that says BitChute. Yeah, I think he got a trophy from BitChute for getting 10,000 subscribers or something.
Even if PewDiePie tomorrow, for example, he reaches, you know, tens of millions of people a day. If he were to make a video, collate it out and say, you know what, I want you to kill your parents for me, PewDiePie. There'd probably be a couple of nuts that would do it, but by and large, society, the only thing that would change is people would think he flipped his lid.
Okay, and he would still get banned for that.
They'd think he went fucking nuts. And then the cops would show up, and then he'd go to prison, probably, for incitement. That's what would happen. So society, okay, a couple nuts' parents are dead. Oh, they probably would have done shit like that anyway, so I don't know that particularly changes their trajectory of life either. But if Twitter says, hey, you know, this third world country has blocked Twitter. We're going to start manipulating. We're going to fortify public discourse a little bit to make it look like there's strong sentiment, and we'll issue push polls too, strong sentiment in favor of crushing this country with drone strikes and doing some regime changey things over there. Let's call the Clinton Foundation, get them set up to build houses, aka traffic children. Could that happen? Yeah, unfortunately it could. People would like to believe that that's hyperbolic, it's tinfoil hat. Well, billionaires would never conspire to overthrow a government. There was never a business plot. They would never do shady shit. So the same billionaires that we call sleazebags, greedmongers, terrible, horrible, the dregs of society would never collude together to affect public discourse in a way that could cause violence.
No, the rich and powerful have definitely manufactured consent in the past. The thing I take umbrage with is the implication of, and the accusation rather, of child trafficking. Again, from Hillary Clinton, because it's like the only thing you guys have, I guess.
In a way that could cause any form of problem. But Nick Fuentes, I'm supposed to believe that he's trying to do that. Behind the scenes, he's a subversive working with a bunch of other Nazis to try...
Yes, literally he is.
...try to overthrow civilization.
Yes, literally. I didn't say he's good at it, but he absolutely does want to do that, yes.
See, that doesn't make sense. When I look at the two situations, which one's more likely? Thousands of independent commentators are going to work together and create a Nazi army. Or half a dozen tech experts, all from the same exact socioeconomic background, might collude to affect our government.
Neither surprises me, and neither is more or less likely than the other, in my opinion. Rich people collude to affect government policy constantly. And also Nick Fuentes is a neo-Nazi with a bunch of other neo-Nazi buddies who try and rile up their base, expand their base, and expand the belief in ethno-nationalism throughout the United States. Tucker White says, like I said, Styx is nothing more than a talking point spot. And Speedy Yoshi says, why can't both rich people make bad changes and Nazis also do bad shit, right? That's what I'm saying.
Which one of these at Occam's razor at this point? 6 people...
But it's not an either-or, Styx. Why do you think it's an either-or? That's not how this works.
People working together for mutual benefit, or thousands of people who compete with one another explicitly and actually undergo competition, unlike big tech firms, are colluding to, I don't know, cause a race war or something. See, I don't believe that. And the ADL, essentially, and this is not the first time, by the way, that this has happened, is helping to shape big tech policy. This is why you need to get on new tech platforms. This is why you should be using Gab or Parler, or both, like I do, and Minds.com. This is why you shouldn't just be reliant on YouTube. If you're only watching me on YouTube, you're not even getting all of my videos at this point. At a bare minimum, I'd get on Dailymotion. I know that it's not a new tech site, but it is a technical competitor. You should be on Rumble. Trump is. He's got almost 500,000 subscribers there already. I think he's the second largest after only his son, Don Jr., who is more tech literate and thus was already there for months. You should be on these platforms. You should be using Subscribestar. There are people that still rely on Patreon. Believe it or not, there are people that's their living is getting donations on Patreon. Dude, Patreon's a dying site. They haven't even been in the news in years and years. Subscribestar, at least occasionally someone writes a hit piece about how they platformed the Nazis or whatever.
Because they do?
Why aren't you on BitChute and Odyssey? They're great sites.
They're only great sites if you enjoy neo-Nazi content or conspiracy theories.
Growing. They platform a lot of content that you simply can't find anymore on the mainline web.
Nazis!
But trust me, the cool kids are going to find out about all these sites and realize that all the edgy stuff is there, and that's where they're going to go. So it happened with millennials and sites like YouTube. YouTube developed in the middle of the 2000s. Well, initially it was all edgy shit. It was stuff your parents probably didn't want you seeing. You'll go where the edginess is. That's you know, where, I mean, Nick's probably laughing right now. He's like, oh, I got banned off Twitter. Huh?
Oh, no. Based on Nick's personality, he had a hissy fit. I guarantee it.
I'm surprised I lasted so long. It's not going to affect his bottom line any.
I think it probably will.
But the ADL will make some money. They'll bitch about this. And
he was just whining the other day about getting banned from every other social media site and being on the no-fly list for his contributions to January 6th. Lord Necro Jay-Z says, I dedicate this 5-meat lasagna to the vegan teacher. I hope you enjoy your lasagna.
Moan and say, well, see, it took them so long, we need more censorship. Please write us a check so that we don't defame your site as platforming problematic people. It's basically, it's just a mafia-style shakedown. That's about all.
He always ends so abruptly. It's like at some point in the video, he realizes how embarrassing he is and he opts out. but he still posts the video. Very strange. So that's what Styx is up to. Conspiracy theories and defending neo-Nazis. So about the same as usual. Zimsada says, I feel like he might actually be onto something there as far as kids going onto these sites to see crazy stuff. What do you think? I don't know. I don't know if they're popular enough for kids to hear about them often. And if they do, the content isn't very geared towards children, at least the stuff on the front page, even like 14-year-olds. Some of it is, but a lot of it's not. So I don't know. I think there are easier places to get edgy shit from. 4chan, 8kun. There are other sites I think kids who want to be edgy would go to first. That's just the quartering. Yeah, Newgrounds. I watched a lot of stuff on Newgrounds back in the day. God, I don't know if there's anything else I want to watch today. I don't know if I want to watch Ben. I think John's weird behavior burnt me out. Is there anything we could watch as a cleanse and then call it a night? Let me see. M80 with a TikTok link.
Can top. You can't do both. If you're queer, you either like Baja Blast or you can top. You can't do both. If you're queer, you either like Baja Blast or you can top. You can't do both.
On this episode of Ordinary Sausage, we're making monkey bread. YouTube comment suggestions. I'm just kidding. We're doing instant noodles. Now we just gotta do one of these. And we're just gonna drain some of the liquid here. Yep. It's already leaking out the front. It's a little more scalding than I thought it would be. You know I spoil you guys. And what a beautiful wedding. 5 Mark Ruffalo's! Let's sausage! Well, alright, here we go. Pretty bland and gummy. 1 out of 5!
Bop, 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 bop. That tracks. Alright, let's see who we're gonna raid. Alright, have a good evening, everyone. Ugh. Tomorrow, Baja and I are looking at a house, so that's cool. I don't know why I'm starting a conversation and I'm about to raid someone. Have a good night, everyone. I'll be back tomorrow for Tinfoil Tuesday. So come hang out for all the conspiracy nonsense. See you guys.